Welcome to the countdown. While you wait for the show to begin, try to relax, grab a drink, sit down, and just enjoy the music.
Yeah. Ooh, whoa.
Don't Christina it out.
Okay. If you dream of exploiting everything and believe nature's not worth anything, if you sign the lease, all your wildest dreams, they will come true. They will come true.
She looks metallic.
Though I can't quite recall overnight sensation.
Welcome everybody to our weekly stream for The Chop. Tonight, Season 13, Episode 9 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK, The Snatch Game. First of all, let's greet everybody in the chat and thanks for coming. So, we have Blazing Bard, Miss Dixie Rye, Valentine, Seneca Fuller, Jules, Max Rollins, Blazing Bard, Melanie, Sasha, Gothboy UK. Oh, by the way, Gothboy UK, thank you so much for tagging me on Twitter with all these juicy things. It always helps. Then we have Felicia, Zoe, Sasha, Syria, Blake Robinson, Corinne, Melanie, Mrs. G, Zoka? And many others, Miguel, Bolivia, and everybody else that is joining in right now. Thank you so much for coming for this weekly stream. How was your week, guys? Did you have a nice week? I hope you had a nice one. We have kind of an eventful one, but we managed to somehow make the stream going, which is the important thing, to be prepared, to be professional, because as you know, I'm not that professional to begin with. It's no surprise to anyone. Anyway, welcome to The Chop, and in this episode we have Miss Utica thrown under the bus by the production and her fellow queens, and I'm going to explain to you exactly how and why it happened. Then we have some more temporal incursions with Simone, Rosé, and a new Time Lord that has been time traveling without anybody noticing in 7 different episodes. Remember when I said in the beginning of the season, we are going to count even pimples in those damned confessionals, and we're going to find out when they reuse them and how. So, there is that. Then we have 2 queens saved from the bottom by the edit. Guess who? Some fairly good cryptiques, and this is the shocker. Actual cryptiques I agree with. This is the shocker of the week. Then we have Untucked with the true colors of some queens finally shining through, and then the confessional chart and speculation as usual. So as you see, we have a ton of stuff to discuss. Fantasia, stop talking about alcohol in the chat. Some viewers are underage. Don't start saying to everyone to get dragged. Corinne, yes, counting pimples, that's the name of the game, because if they make them wear the same clothes, if they try to make them style their hair the same way, wear a hat, use the same filters, whatever it is, we are going to count pimples. That's what we're doing here. That's how we spend our free time. Isn't that interesting? Insulin, are you drunk? Caio Camara, welcome. Lena just joined the chat, and Queenie Q Maestra. Fantasia, don't influence the child. I completely agree on that. If you are of legal age, you have to drink responsibly. Which means, yeah, you can drink during the stream. I mean, why not? Take a sip, everybody, every time a queen gets thrown under the bus. I can assure you, you will be drunk in about 15 minutes. So, let's begin with this episode, shall we? Where are we? Let me check my list. There we go. Let me prepare my energy drink so that I am ready. Beverly, welcome. Jack, Eddie, and XX Bobby XS. Always excess. When in doubt, always excess. That's the name of the game. Okay. Now, let's start with the review for the episode, shall we? First of all, the queens are back in the workroom, and we begin with a couple of temporal incursions, as if we didn't get used to those already. We have one from Simone that is coming with longer hair from a distant future for telling us that double shantays are actually pretty rare in the history of the show. And I kind of have a question. Was it really a double shantay? Because technically Candy was told to sashay away and then told to come back. So from my point of view, she is the queen who came back to the competition. She was the fastest queen to ever come back to the competition. But anyway, and after that, in the center, you see a mismatch confessional from our time-traveling queen, Rosé. And the confessional in the center is what I called Spiky Hair Rosé. This is the confessional that was filmed sometime in the future and that kept popping back up like in every episode. We talked about it in the previous job. So if you're curious about that, watch the previous episode. And of course, they mismatched the confessional because Rosé has to say that she's going to make it to the top 4 and bitches beware. So I don't know, maybe for a kind of dramatic flair, whatever it is. So we have these two time travelers queens. Fantastic. What do we have after that? We have our usual mini advertisement. And this time is a triple mini advertisement. So we are shilling out for the company who makes RuPaul's suit. As if that's something to be proud of. I don't know. I always find their suit kind of tacky. Then we have a clothing company in the center. And then we have RuPaul's song, because, you know, it's still RuPaul's Drag Race, so I'm kind of okay with shilling a little bit of RuPaul's song, especially if it's a good song. And this was a good song. This was a good mini advertisement. The queens that had actually, to get creative, they had to create their own outfit. They had to perform. I was not that mad to this mini advertisement. I low-key enjoyed. And what I enjoyed the most was RuPaul at some point jumping on the stage and feeling her hose. And you can see that she was completely into it because she is wearing like my grandpa's undershirt under there. And she doesn't give a fuck. She is completely into it. I am living. It's cringe. It's mesmerizing. It's everything you can ask to the beginning of the episode. Which, by the way, was kind of a good episode. All in all, there were shady moments and other things, but it was a good episode. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Lena said, oh my god, I cannot read all of that. I can... Gottmik, you deserve the Comedy Central special. Please fuck my... Oh my god. Lena! Lena is drunk already. Hide the booze. Lena's fucking drunk. So, after our mini advertisement, RuPaul comes in and announces that today is the Snatch Game. So, the queens are there to discuss their characters. And we get to see Candy Muse, Denali, Gottmik, Rosé, and Miss Utica. After this, RuPaul comes in the workroom to give some feedback and advices to the queens. And which queens does she give feedback and advices to? Well, all the queens that were not featured in this segment. So we have Elliot, we have Simone, we have Tina, we have Olivia, and then again we have Utica. How strange is that, isn't it? Why do we have Utica as the only queen featured in both segments? Well, that's fairly easily explained, because first, we have to witness Simone through a confessional kind of making fun of Utica's choice to create a hat of squirrels, not to wear an afro. Because Utica is feeling that wearing an afro could be misconstrued, even though her character actually has an afro in real life. But you have to understand one thing. I completely agree with Utica. It's not like we haven't seen in 13th season of this show fans getting completely crazy for absolutely nothing and overreacting and making their life impossible even for reasonable choices that were made by these queens. So, in a way, I completely understand while Utica chose to be a little more cautious with her choice, and also props to her for using this issue to begin with as a way to be creative. I appreciated that and I completely understand that. But of course, the editors decided to go another route. The editors and Simone decided to go another route. Because in the eyes of Simone, where is the problem? And at this point, I am thinking, wait a moment, but of course, there can be a problem. It's been 13 seasons. We know how the fans are. We know how the editors are. And immediately after this, we have the same exact thing going on with RuPaul. RuPaul is saying, well, what you're doing, it's not, Bob Ross has an afro. There was no need for this. And we're hit with a train of all the queens bitch-facing to Utica for all of this. And I want to think you about one simple thing. What if Utica decided to actually wear an afro? Can you already imagine the edit? RuPaul coming in and saying something like, Utica, don't you think that some might think that this afro could be offensive? And then shot of Utica silent, and then shot of RuPaul concerned. We know that the edit does things like this, and I completely agree with Utica's choice. It was completely legitimate for two reasons. One, you can never trust the editors, and two, you can never trust the fans to actually be reasonable. This week, this happened less than 3 or 4 days ago. Have you seen Drag Race Season 2? Well, I will explain to you what happened like really quick. Basically, there is a maxi challenge, which is a comedy show, a reading show. And you have the younger queen, Ellie Diamond, who has to choose the order of appearances of the queens. So she tries to have her cake and eat it too, because first she plays the game by strategically placing one queen in a specific position, and then she moves to the other queens and asks, oh wait, I don't want to be rude to any of you, so where would you like to be placed? And then one queen called Lawrence Cheney came out and said, listen, either you are going to play the game or you're going to be nice to everybody else. You cannot be both. You cannot be shady to one and then nice to all the other ones, which is something completely reasonable. And you know what happened? She deactivated her Twitter. And I will not even come here and tell you the words that were used against her. So as you see, the fan base can be rabid, has been rabid, and will continue to be rabid. So for queens like Simone and RuPaul herself to come out and say, oh, but there was no problem, and failing to acknowledge that there is such a thing as an edit and there is such a thing as a rabid fan base was disingenuous to say the least. And I can accept it from RuPaul because she is a producer. I cannot really accept it from Simone, especially because she's a queen of color and she should know better than anyone else than this kind of attitude from the fan base has been used and abused over and over again, especially against queens of color coming from this show. We have seen it happen time and time and time again. So it was really disingenuous from Simone to come out and say, oh, well, but there is absolutely no problem. Yes, there can be a problem, and you have to be proactive to prevent these kind of problems. So I don't know. You can tell me what you think in the chat. I am keeping my eyes actually on the chat so that I can follow what is going on with you guys. You know that I am kind of has problems a little bit multitasking, but I'm doing my best to keep an eye on everything and try to remain, how can I say, interactive with you guys from the chat. So this whole scene with Utica was really surreal for me. And this is not the first instance, because we see this theme carried on throughout the whole episode. TikTok Meltdown says, I feel like for Utica there was no win-win. Yes, it was actually a lose-lose situation, because if she did bring an afro, they could have easily edited her out as insensitive. It could have been very, very easily done. And if she didn't, they could have, like they actually did, they portrayed her as seeing a problem where there is actually no problem. This is the message that was sent in this section of the episode. It was really surreal in a way, because people are not going to sit down and think about it for the moment and realize, wait, fans are absolutely crazy. Queens on the show have to actually think like this if they want to survive outside of the show. Insulin Dependent Shang says she could have just wore a wig that was curly. Yes, that could have been another choice, but as you know, one consistent message that came from Utica throughout the whole series is that she tends to be a kind of shy queen. She tends to be reserved. She tends to be in her head, and this is consistency. This is a consistent message, and we don't have the same for some other queens, do we? But we're going to get a little bit more deep into this later on. Ferenc says, yeah, but she didn't act like Bob Ross at all. Well, yes, I agree. The impersonation was not on point, but we all know that. We all know that. Karakamara, whatever she does, if they want to edit Utica in a bad way, they will, because they can. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. The fact that she was featured in both segments so that she could be shat on both segments already tells a story, tells the whole story for the episode. I don't know if you noticed, she was the only one featured in both segments. Anyway, so let's move on to the next section, because we finally find out, I don't know if you have the notification on and you saw the community post that I posted a couple of days ago, where I asked you, who is the new Time Lord of RuPaul's Drag Race? And none of you managed to find out who it is. We're going to find out right now. Queenie Q Maestra says, Bob Ross has a Twitch channel, by the way. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I don't actually follow Bob Ross. I'm not into painting. I do follow a channel that does restoration of painting. That really puts me to sleep. Like, really nice. Like, really nice. Antonina says she did what she could in this situation with Bob Ross as her character. I kind of wish she would choose Van Gogh instead. They're both redheads, and it matches her sense of humor. Yeah, I think she got fixated with the character and just tried to find a way to make it work. It was a bad situation, nevertheless, because after all, the Snatch Game was what it is. Plus, she kind of put herself in a very difficult situation because there was no winning out of this situation for Utica. So let's find out who is our new Time Lords. Do you guys want to take guesses in the chat? I can drink a little bit of something while you take your guess, but you will never guess who it is. Lady Baconator, either way, this was stupid on the editor's end. Utica was just being careful. Exactly. And at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself one simple question. Which kind of person do you prefer? A person who doesn't think enough if something can be offensive and ends up doing something that ultimately results as offensive, or a person that takes too much care and ends up looking like an idiot because it took care He tried to take care of something when there was really no need for doing it, because this is the storyline that's been pushed, that there was no need for it. I still think that there was a need for it, but this is the story that's been pushed. Which one of the two do you prefer? The one who doesn't give a shit, or the one who gives too much of a shit? That's the whole point right there. TikTok, do you think Utica will be portrayed as a villain? I don't think it's easy to make Utica portrayed as a villain, but they are definitely portraying her as a moron. That is for sure. Daniel Harris says, Rose. Lady Baconator says, Simone. Simone is already a Time Lord. Don't forget the confessional with the long hair coming from the distant future. Will says, maybe Olivia. Who else? Do we have any other guesses? Okay, I'm going to reveal it to you. It's actually Miss Elliot. Miss Elliot has been secretly time traveling since episode 2. How did we find this out? Well, look at that specific pimple, because it looks like she filmed her series of confessionals. Well, it looks like she reenacted all of her confessionals not longer after she was eliminated. That pimple is in the exact same position. If anything, it looks like she's showing 3 or 4 days of regrowth on her eyebrows, but they might have been painted on. Nevertheless, that pimple and that specific hairstyle appear in 7 different episodes. And you guessed it, she is talking about the current episodes in all of those confessionals. So you know that at some point she sat there and she was asked questions for all the episode. As if somehow they had to have her say different things or things that were not there. Do you remember in the very beginning of our review for this season that we said there is something off about this season? I think it was already by episode 2. And I said there is something off about this season. It looks like they went with one edit and then found themselves in some future point in time and realized for some reason, well, this is not working. We need to switch things around. And my best guess was that the network came back and said, listen, this edit that you did for this season are not working. You need to switch them around. And guess what you need when you switch them around? You need a new background narration. You need new confessionals, because that's the glue that ties it all together. So our new Time Lord is Miss Elliot. At this point, I am pretty sure that maybe all of these queens sat on that chair in a distant point in the future and refilmed, or better, reenacted their confessionals. It's just that we don't have enough visual information to actually find out and prove that this is actually happening. It's a possibility. At this point, I'm not discounting anything. So that's it for Miss Elliot. By the way, not a great episode for Elliot because she was completely forgotten. But as we said in the speculations, if you remember, she already had her emotional moments, so she were good to go already. Gothboy UK says, I think we need to remind people that unless you personally know a contestant on a TV show, then you have no idea what they are like behind the scenes. Yes, absolutely. You can have maybe a glimpse of the way they want to portray themselves when you go through their social media. But then again, that is not knowing the person in person. Every time we talk about these queens, remember the conversation goes on 3 levels. On the first level, you have the way the producers decide to portray them. On the second level, you have the way these queens decide to portray themselves through social media. And then on the third and more real level, you have the actual people that you might have an idea who they are if you meet them in person. So always remember these things, that there are all these 3 levels. That's the baseline for everything we actually say during these reviews. So moving on, we go to the Snatch Game and we find out that our guest judges are Raven and Porkchop. And somehow when I was creating my images, I forgot to remove that arrow right there. Let's pretend it's not even there. That's me. That's me being half tired yesterday night. Let's forget about that. It's professional. I can assure you it's professional. So we go to Snatch Game. And here we have another example of what I was saying before for Miss Utica. Now, I won't pretend that I am knowledgeable of the situation or that I am American and I actually understand the struggle of African Americans and so on. What I can tell you is what I see on social media. And what I see on social media is that Raven being tanned is being compared as blackface. This is what I see. Many people say that she is actually trying to pass herself as a black woman. Other people say, listen, she's just tanning. And that's what it is. She went as far as posting a picture of herself as a child to show that her skin gets naturally tanned that way. And people are still getting completely crazy about this. Now, tanning is completely normal, isn't it? Like wearing an afro for impersonating someone who actually has an afro, isn't it? Yet people get crazy again. So then again, the same message is pushed. I am pushing the same message once more. You never know what to expect with this kind of fandom. And this is just another example. So we can laugh about how tanned is Raven. We can laugh about the fact that, I hope for her sake that she actually spray tans, because that much sun, it's not really healthy for your skin. But nevertheless, one thing is tanning too much. Another thing is doing the same shit that Shane Dawson used to do on his channel years ago. That is demeaning. But then again, I am not a person here who is knowledgeable enough to tell you, is this offensive, is this not offensive? Actually, if we have some people of color or African Americans from the U.S. in the chat, please tell me your opinion. I'm curious to know, because from my point of view, this seems to me like a situation that was completely ballooned. But then again, you never know. So let's have a little bit of a drink. I'm starting to feel hot here. Max Rollins, don't remind me of shade. Sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. Mrs. G says, Blackfish. Insulin Dependent says, it was blackfishing. What's black? Oh, trying to pass like, okay. Raven Doolizal. Lady Baconator, I'm a woman of color in American. Raven's complexion does not bother me. Felicia. Raven lives in California. Very cold days. The sun beats down on you. Queenie says, Drag Race is like a cake. Fandom editing queens. I'm not good at wording, but I feel like the fans and the producers are the same people. Well, the two things interact with each other at some level. I can tell you that much. Eddie, there is a difference between blackface and blackfishing. That's an interesting point, yes. Mrs. G, Raven better start using her own correct foundation. Well, oh, Jules, one more. Utica was trying not to appropriate and got a shitty edit for it, but Raven looks like Rachel Dolezal. Sorry for my pronunciation. And Rue loves it. Well, but you know, at least this situation is debatable. We can have an healthy debate about it. People actually have, on average, different opinions on what is going on. It's not a one-sided thing. Nevertheless, this has not stopped the fan base to completely go crazy about it. And this is the example that I want to actually talk about. The fandom going crazy over something that at best is debatable. And I don't think that in Utica's case it's even debatable. But anyway. Oh, Antonina explained the thing to me, thank you, and says, if you don't know, Dolezal got famous because she claimed she was transracial when she is white. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Okay, let's move on to the actual Snatch Game, shall we? Let me check my list so that I know exactly where I am in the review. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now, before we actually judge and express opinions on Snatch Game, I want to give you an healthy premise. First of all, we don't know how many questions were actually asked. Why is that arrow still there? My God, I did a terrible job in editing. Do I still have that arrow in the next one? No. And the one after? No. Okay, good. Oh my God. This is so unprofessional. I have to go to Past Me and kick me in the ass for this. Now, an healthy premise before we start reviewing Snatch Game. First of all, we don't know how many questions were actually asked, but we do know that there are 9 queens, and on average, they are each given a minute for answering the question. Now, on the show, we saw 4 questions, but I think that maybe 5 or 6 were asked. But anyway, let's go with 4 questions. 9 queens, it's 36 minutes. Plus the time that they had for introducing themselves. On average, I would say 1 minute per queen, so we are already at 45 minutes. So you know that filming had to last for at least 1 whole hour, but it probably lasted for 2. Because if you remember, when we had the main advertisement, that was in the early morning. Then we had the Snatch Game, and then filming day was over. Because the runway happened the day after. We actually saw the queen coming back in the workroom. So we don't know how long the Snatch Game filming actually lasted, but my best guess is that it lasted for probably 2 hours. So in 2 hours of filming, there is a lot of things that go on. There's a lot of material for basically getting the best of whoever you want to win and the worst of whoever you want to lose. Not to mention all the editing that you can do around it. So let's keep that in mind while we try to review what's going on during the Snatch Game. Now, for me, everyone but Gottmik, Rosé, and Denali should be ready to go home because I didn't laugh at anything of what I was shown. Let's say this: the only way we can actually judge or the only way we can actually review this Snatch Game is by judging by what we are shown. This is the premise that I wanted to make. So, based on what we were shown, everyone but Gottmik, Denali, and Rosé didn't do a good job, in my opinion. Some did a slightly better job, some did a slightly worse one, but none of them actually made me laugh. Now, you can say that I am a little bit of a nasty bitch, of a bitter bitch, so I don't laugh at anything. That's a possibility. I'm not discounting it, but you know, apart from those 3, I didn't quite enjoy any other one. TikTok Meltdown says there is an estimate that Denali will go home next. Please don't go through the speculations during the show. We actually have a section for the speculations, okay? So why didn't I like the other one? Well, let's start with Candy Muse. Candy, to me, was absolutely unfunny, and there was no characterization. There was no change of voice. It was basically Candy Muse being Candy Muse, and that was it. None of Tina's joke landed for me. Olivia looked completely lost. Utica's comedy didn't land anywhere. Simone, I think she kind of lost the character a little bit, but she did make a point, because after seeing her in Snatch Game, I actually went on Wikipedia to read the story of this person. So, as she stated before, at least she got her point across, because she got me curious about it. So I will give her props for this. And Elliot did not really embody the character. She was too quiet, she was not funny. All in all, we had better Snatch Games than this one. Now, as time goes on, I'm starting to notice that you guys are really, how can I say, you really got the gist of what you have to look to actually find out what's going on with the edit. So I am trusting that all of you noticed the awkward silence that was played as a background for some queens. I trust that all of you noticed the shady noises plays under Olivia, under Elliot, under Utica, and I trust that you all noticed Raven bitch-facing Olivia when she was stumbling upon her lines a little bit. So, with that said, let's talk about the things that were not easy to notice. Fantasia says, wait, you don't know who Harriet Tubman is? No, I didn't know. I didn't know that. Here in Europe, we don't get taught much about American history, apart from the big things. Like, I know that Lincoln was the one who pushed for the abolition of slavery, for example, but I'm sorry, that's how it is. But, what I believe is that there is no shame in ignorance. The only shame that there is in the will to continue to live in ignorance once you realize that you're actually ignorant about something. So, no, I had no idea who she was. Now, let's go to the things that it was actually difficult to notice. First of all, somebody hit me on Twitter and sent me this. And that's what I am really proud of you guys for really sharpening your eyes. This was like 2 hours ago. I noticed half an hour ago and I said, okay, this goes immediately in the stream. So we have a moment with Rosé in which she's answering a question by saying, being a greedy bastard. And after that, she's edited to laugh at her own joke. The problem is there is something else written on the damn card. Now, I don't know why they needed to edit this. I guess for having a better flow in her jokes, but this is already something. And it's not the only thing that was done to kind of elevate Rosé. Pizza Eating says, I'm glad I could help. Oh, you are Tweak. Thank you so much. Ooh, I need a cigarette. I'm coughing too much. Let's give it a vape. That will help. Okay. Yes, thank you so much for hitting me with these things. I have like a couple days. Well, less than a couple days. Let's see, about 30 hours of spend time for preparing this stream, and I'm missing a ton of things. So an extra pair of eyes is always welcome. And of course, it's important to mention you actually, because a ton of people never mention anyone, and I think that's the very least that I can do. Gothboy UK says, Candy didn't have a clue about Mary, Queen of Scots, neither did Trixie on the pit stop. I have no doubt about that. If we are not taught about American history, I don't see why Americans would be taught about European history. School is how it is. Queen says, please hydrate. I'm obeding right now. Energy drink from Lidl. Ooh, I'm fully hydrated. What I need is a cigarette. But no, let's finish with this. Let's go on. So let's talk about the things that were actually difficult to notice. And of course, I prepared a couple of charts because you know that I love doing charts for this show. The first chart is the confessionals intrusion during the Snatch game, because we have a little bit of confessionals, It's actually 7 confessionals that were played during the Snatch game to tell us what is actually happening, to tell us how we should interpret what we are seeing. So, who are the people who received confessionals? Well, we have Simone, Rosé, and Gottmik, who received a positive confessional. Then we have Olivia and Elliot, who received 1 negative confessional, and Miss Utica was the only one who received 2 confessionals. In her case, both of them were negative. Now, there is something else that I want you to notice about this chart, because Utica is not the only notable queen in this chart for receiving 2 negative confessionals. What I want you to notice is that only the bottom queens received negative confessionals, but of the ones who actually received positive confessionals, Denali, who was on the top, didn't receive any at all. Instead, Simone was the only queen who was safe, who actually also received the positive confessionals. And this is the first push that Simone actually got for this Snatch game. So we have a push up for Simone and no push for Denali. How surprising, because one is the hero and the other one is a queen who has been slept on since the beginning of the season. Now, let's move on to the next chart, and this is the most interesting one of the two, and the most work intensive as well, because I actually counted the time that they had to introduce themselves, the number of questions that they were asked, and the time that they had to answer, and the reaction time. What is the reaction time? It's when somebody else is asked a question and suddenly you have a reaction shot from one queen, or one queen responding to the question that was asked to somebody else. And immediately out of the bat, what you start realizing is that the queens that were given the most time overall were Gottmik and Simone. And what is so notable about Simone is that even though she was only asked one question, you see a 1 + 2, that has a meaning. She was asked one question that was related to the Snatch Game, and she was the only queen who was asked 2 additional questions. And those questions were not even featured in the Snatch Game. She was asked 2 custom questions. So all in all, she had 3 different possibilities to answer, which is unprecedented with all of the other queens. She was heavily featured during this Snatch Game. And that was not only that, because of course then there is the edit that everybody else has noticed, like the extra laugh, the good reaction shots playing during her answer. So you can have all the different opinions that you want on Simone, but this is an objective thing. She was the only queen who was given 3 different possibilities to shine, and of these 3, 2 were custom ones. This is the hero treatment. You remember episodes and episodes ago when I told you she is the hero of the season, and this is the result of having a hero headed, that you end up being treated differently in a more positive way than many other queens. Now notice something else from this graph. Denali, even though she was in the top, and even though she kind of killed it for me, she was only asked one question. The only saving grace that she had was that in her reaction time, she was shown interacting for 5 seconds. That's the best that we got out of Denali. And the last thing that I want you to notice about this chart is that Candy and Tina completely disappeared. They were asked one question, they were given the least amount of time to answer their question, they were featured mostly through confessionals, mostly through reaction shots, and that's it. We saw almost nothing of Candy and Tina. And if you watched Untucked, then you know that Tina came out in the very beginning of Untucked saying, well, I was safe for Snatch Game, but safe for me in this Snatch Game was like winning. So you know that she thinks she didn't do that good to begin with. Now, I don't think Candy did good either, but I didn't expect Candy to suddenly come out and be, you know, a little bit self-aware of the fact that she didn't really kill Snatch Game, but we knew already that she is not good at improv. You remember the improv challenge when we were hit by confessional after confessional telling us how good Candy was? We actually had Gottmik in a mismatched confessionals telling that whatever Candy was doing was working. It was surreal. We know that Candy is not good at improv, and I wasn't expecting her to come out and say, oh well, I wasn't that great. But I am not surprised by this edit. So for me, these 2 queens were absolutely saved by the edit. What else can I say? What about Olivia, Utica, and Elliot? Well, it's difficult to say. All 3 of them didn't look like they did that great to begin with, but in almost 2 hours of filming, who can say who really did really bad and who did just average? So this is the best that we can do to actually understand what has happened behind the scenes. So I hope that this chart helps you a little bit better to understand what has happened. Now, there was one mention in the comment. I'm getting there right now. So Jules says, notice also how Tina is trying her best to tell us that Olivia is a shady diva. This isn't getting heard. We're going to talk about that. Don't worry. We are going to talk about that. Because after the Snatch Game, and this is all for Snatch Game, so if you guys have any other questions, please wait. We can do them later when we have our kiki time after cigarette, bathroom pause, and so on and so forth. Now it's time to go back to the workroom, and this is the moment where I want you to have your attention most of all, because we are going to dissect this whole situation and try to understand exactly what happens and why. Let me hydrate a little bit. Daniel says, why wasn't Simone in the top if she was pushed so much? Because I don't think it would have been justified. If anyone but Gottmik, Denali, and Rosé, with Gottmik, Denali, and Rosé, they looked like they killed it for the whole performance. So I think it would have been too much, actually. I think it would have been too much. And if that wasn't enough, it was really convenient that Simone would end up in the Untucked Lounge with Candy and with Tina. Because we know that these three would pack together, and that's exactly what happened. So there are actually two good reasons for Simone to actually be safe this episode. Now, moving back to the workroom. Finally, we get to talk about this for a moment. We have this moment in the workroom where Utica is asked by Denali, who do you think is in trouble? And Utica says, mark my words, I think Olivia is in trouble because her character was not really recognizable. Mind you, Denali didn't ask, who do you think did bad? She asked, who do you think is in trouble? Why is it important to make this difference? Well, because we've seen time and time again in this competition that doing good is not enough to not be in the bottom. It's actually what usually happens on this show, that somebody actually did a good job, lands in the bottom anyway. Because that's why we have cryptiques. That's why we call them cryptiques to begin with. And they all know this after 13th season. Nevertheless, we are greeted by a mismatched confessional from Olivia, telling us that after the Snatch Game she spoke with Utica when no cameras were around, and Utica told her she did good. Now, a storyline has been pushed here, and it's been pushed by both Olivia and the editors, who came afterwards with the raw footage and created the best conditions possible so that this storyline would actually land with the viewers. What is the storyline? Well, the storyline... Here we go. Sorry, I lost myself a little bit. The storyline is that Utica is talking behind Olivia's back. And I want to ask you a question. Do you see where Olivia actually is? Because we have a long shot. We have a long shot of the workroom where we get to see that Olivia and Utica are actually pretty close to each other. Now, in this image, you see that they're actually behind each other. But after this, Olivia actually moves. And where does she move in the workroom? Well, exactly here. So thanks to the episode that aired last week, because we had this map of the workroom, and we can pinpoint exactly based on the footage where Utica and Olivia's are. And they are less than 3 meters apart. So I am asking yourself, how is it possible that Utica is talking behind Olivia's back if they are less than 3 meters apart? That's not exactly what the definition of talking behind someone's back. And that's just to begin with. That's just to begin with. Now, Olivia comes in, and instead of going to Utica and ask her directly, you know, I overheard my name. Can you tell me what you're talking about? Why did you tell me that I was good and now you say that I might be in the bottom? Can you explain it to me? And it would have ended right there. Yet somehow it didn't. Because somehow Olivia decided to misconstrue what's happening and being a little bit passive-aggressive about it. Because she said, and I'm quoting the words, I just overheard my name and I'm right here. So that's all. And then Utica comes out, explained the situation. She said that she was asked who she thought was in the bottom. Yes, it's a composite picture. Sorry, I should have made a division. I will make a division when the actual episode comes out. Sorry that you guys got confused. So Utica comes out, explains the situation. She says that she was asked by Denali who she thought would have been in trouble. And then Olivia doubles down with pushing a storyline and being passive-aggressive by saying, we chatted a little bit after, and it sounded like certain things that weren't said earlier. So that's all. And at this point I am thinking, why don't you speak clearly? Why don't you address the issue immediately? Why are you being so vague in what you are saying? What are you trying to achieve? Because, you know, there is, to everyone who actually watched this show, there is this clear message that there is a difference between doing good and being put in the bottom. All of them knows this. Olivia knows this. Utica knows this. Denali knows this. Did someone speak up on this situation? Possibly, but we weren't showed anything. What we were shown was a storyline being pushed that Utica was being shady. Yet we were told nothing about the fact that Olivia is doing her best to avoid addressing the situation directly so that it can be solved directly. Because what we did get to see was Utica coming out and expressing the truth without any problem. Because she said immediately, directly, well, I was asked who did I think was in trouble, and I said that you were in trouble. And that's it. But, you know, a storyline had to be pushed. An opportunity arose, and Olivia didn't lose it. I was extremely surprised by what Olivia did this episode, and all of the things that I'm referring to are continuous segment with the camera pointed on Olivia and her mouthing every words. So I'm really surprised by the vague tone that she decided to choose. But of course there is a reason for that, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more during Untucked. What I wanted to say about this is that doing good and being in trouble are not mutually exclusive on this show. They are actually the rule, and everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. And I also want you to focus on something else. Olivia knows that Utica is kind of shy, that Utica is reserved, that Utica is the one who will give up if you push a little bit too hard. And at this point I'm thinking, Olivia, you are 26 years old. How the hell did you not figure out that Utica is the kind of person who you don't go if you want actual feedback? Because she is a yes man. She is someone who tries to avoid confrontation at any cost. She will always tell you, yes, you did good. You don't go to people like Utica for feedback. You go to people like Utica for emotional support. Because they are unable to give you negative feedback if you actually did bad. So in both cases, I think it's pretty clear what's happening here. Now, after this, we are greeted to two humanizing moments. And these moments are for Elliot and Denali. Now, do you remember last episode when I told you, well, Denali didn't have a humanizing moment yet in front of the mirror, with picture being shown, her opening up about things. I was actually... what's the word? I'm starting to lose word. I need more energy drink. My best bet was that she was talked about the thing that she didn't go to the Olympics and so on, but she actually opens up about her family. So now that we have this humanizing moment for Denali, we know what's going to happen pretty soon, what can happen pretty soon. And of course we have a teeny tiny humanizing moment from Elliot, but he already had his humanizing moments. So by the end of this episode, he's basically good to go. This is all the time Elliot is going to get, because during Untucked, she will get exactly 1 minute, and that's it. We don't have a farewell episode for Elliot because in the eyes of the producers there were more interesting things to actually discuss. Beatrice in the chat says Tina was right about Olivia from the beginning. She is a diva. Yeah, the only thing that I want to say about Olivia's edit is that people tend to react a little bit stronger to Olivia because the editor presented her to us as the sweet queen for 5, 6, 7 episodes. And that, all of the sudden, she becomes a shady queen. Well, if you watch back the season, you can realize that even though it's inconspicuous, well, Olivia has always been that way. She has always been a little bit shady. It's just that it was not shown prominently to us. So people were shown Olivia going from one extreme to the next, and that maximized people's reaction to Olivia. If she was presented forward since the beginning, well, the reaction to Olivia would have been a little bit different in my opinion, because it's nothing that wasn't there before as well. That's just how she chose to play the game. Everyone can play the game however they want. This is totally legitimate, and I'm not making assumption on the person on itself, but if I have to judge by what I actually see when the camera is pointed on your mouth, then at least I can argue on the way you decided to play the game. Still not enough to tell who you are, but nobody here is pretending like we can get any actual insight on the people. That's, we try not to do that because it's not good for our entertainers. Now, moving on after this, we have the cryptiques. And something incredible happens this episode. I actually agree with most of the cryptiques. Isn't that incredible? Life is full of surprises. I agreed with almost everything, but Simone, Candy, and Tina were conveniently safe. And if for Simone it's a clear safe, maybe even a high. Maybe even a high. I'm not so convinced about Candy and Tina. So they didn't receive any critiques. So let's go through their performance, through their outfits, and actually give them some critiques. Now, first of all, we already talked about the performance for Simone. We're going to talk it a little bit more, but I want to talk about the outfit. Now, personally, I like this outfit. I think it embodied the message completely. But some people, including my partner, felt like it's difficult with this kind of outfits that come with this kind of story, because people can be afraid to actually critique the way you look for fear that they will be misconstrued as critiquing the message. So I liked the outfit, my partner didn't, but we both appreciated the message that came with it. Now, exactly what I did love about this outfit, well, the fascinator was absolutely on point. The story was absolutely on point, and for once you heard me saying time and time and time again, please Simone, serve me a different silhouette for once. And finally, there is a different silhouette in there. So I really appreciated that as well. Now, to the performance, to me, she was not that funny. She kind of tried her best to embody the character, but I felt like the choice of the character made it also kind of difficult to actually make it funny without making it come off as possibly offensive. So in a way, it's a lose-lose situation, because you want to bring a character to also bring attention to an issues, but because you are mostly bringing attention to the issues, you ended up choosing a character that it's really, really difficult to do well and very well for Snatch Game. But her point was to get our attention on Harriet Tubman, and from my point of view, she absolutely got it, because I had no idea who she was, and I found out who she was. So, one more thing about Simone. When Ru announces that they are safe, there is this moment in which RuPaul says, "Thank you, Simone, for bringing such a powerful message to the runway." And Simone answers, "You are welcome." Now, there are two different ways in which you can interpret what's actually happening in there. And you can make your own opinion on this. I'm just telling you what's going through my mind. Number one is, well, Simone could have exercised a little bit of humility. When RuPaul tells you, "Thank you for bringing a powerful message," your answer should be, "Thank you, RuPaul, for giving me a platform so that I could spread my powerful message." You know, that's the kind of proper way of doing it, because you could use a little bit of humility. And then I thought, but wait a moment. Do you remember what happened last year after the whole thing with George Floyd went viral? After people started marching on the street, do you remember what RuPaul did? She deactivated her Twitter. Not a word. Nothing. So when you look at it from this perspective, and Simone saying to RuPaul, "Well, you are welcome," she's basically showing RuPaul her middle finger, and I'm absolutely living for it. Now, which one of the two is the true one? Well, I like to believe in the second one. I absolutely like to believe in the second one. So, moving on. We have Tina. Now, Tina might want to have a word with the stylist who came out with this outfit, because I didn't like the outfit. It didn't really have a shape. The fascinator looked like an afterthought. I can see the concept. The concept is there. What I am critiquing is the execution. But then again, let's always make the healthy premise. All of these outfits were prepared in less than 5 weeks during a pandemic. They had to rush through it. They had to spend money. So this is always the healthy premise every time we critique any outfit, actually. Personally, I didn't like what was going on in here. Was it the worst dress? Absolutely not. But it could have been better. That's definitely, it could have been better. Now, her snatch game, I didn't particularly laugh. I think that she actually tried her best because she actually changed her voice. The edit that she received tried to help a little bit, but ultimately to me it looked like not many of her jokes were actually landing. So all in all, she had great concepts for this episode, but it didn't really come off. She was just safe, just barely safe in my opinion. Now, next up is Candy Muse. Candy's outfits, I absolutely didn't like it. I didn't like the fascinator. It looked very lazy to me. And the whole dress, we completely lose the shape of Candy from this dress. And you know that Candy Muse can have a very flattering shape. I don't care if she's big. If it's a good shape, it's a good shape. But we don't see any kind of shape from this dress. And we know that queens were being critiqued before for having no actual shape. You remember Detox, when she actually lip-synced in season 5. She had this bulging dress and she was constantly said, "Well, we lose your shape in all of this. It's not flattering." It's the same thing with this one. And her performance on Snatch Game, there was no characterization there. She didn't even try to change the voice. I mean, the editors tried their best with the edit laugh. They tried their best to make her appear during confessionals and reaction shots instead of actually answer questions. But no, for me, Candy, if Simone was almost the top, if Tina was definitely safe, Candy for me was definitely a bottom. She should have been in the bottom this episode. This is what I think. Another critique that I didn't actually agree with was with Denali. But this is a kind of story that's been told to us since the very beginning of the season. Denali is constantly being slept on. Denali is constantly being pushed back. What happens to Denali during this cryptiques? Well, she is told she is costumey as a demeaning term, in a demeaning way. And she's not told that once, she is told her twice, as if no one is wearing costume, as if RuPaul's Drag Race is now Project Runway. And we know that all of the queens wear costumes. That's the base of drag. That's the history of drag. I don't know if it's drag moving forward, but right now everybody is presenting costumes. Yet she's the only one who has been told twice, oh, you are too costumey. You are too costumey. And we had other queens in this competition saying, oh, you are too real. Well, guess what? Find a fucking middle way for once. We know what's going on. I just find it ridiculous that it's pushed without them not even trying. Because Denali's runway was absolutely amazing. In the dress, in the fascinator, and in execution of the runway. And this is what I think. Now, after this, we find out that Gottmik actually deservingly wins the challenge. And Olivia, even though she's been in the bottom, she is declared safe. And our bottom two is Utica and Miss Elliott. And I want you to think about something for a moment. If you watch this lip sync, I think that this lip sync deserved a double shantay much more than whatever we were served the episode before. And that's only to begin, because there is another thing that I don't know if many of you noticed, but during the lip sync, we have an interruption from a confessional from Elliott, basically saying that Utica is killing the lip sync and she is going to lose. And that was a little bit too much. That was the final nail in the coffin on Elliott's edit. That was how bad it was. It was, for me, it was completely uncalled for. There was no need to do that. Come on. It was really in bad taste. It was really in bad taste. Did you guys notice that? That's... Oh my god, I need more energy drink. Okay, now moving on to Untucked. Finally, we get on with Untucked. And we start with Candy Muse, as usual. Because we have Simone, Candy Muse, and Tina, the safe queens, in the Untucked Lounge. Well, it's the workroom. It's not really the Untucked Lounge. I just got used to say the Untucked Lounge. And, of course, Candy immediately jumps on to the drama. And she said, oh, did you guys notice what happened? That Denali asked this to Utica, and then Olivia responded to this and to that. So we are primed to this issue at the very, very beginning of Untucked. Then the other queens get back, and guess what happened? Guess what happens? We are primed a second time. Now this time, we are primed to feel emotionally connected to Olivia. Because Olivia said that she is not used to stumble so much on a challenge, then cue the emotional music, cue the confessional, cue the broken voice, except there are no tears to be found. So by this point, we've been primed twice. Once from Candy's edit, telling us that Utica was being shady, so we are primed against Utica, and the second time we are primed pro-Olivia by this emotional moment in which they pulled every stops to make us emotionally connected to Olivia. And don't forget, Utica was thrown under the bus not only by the queens, but by the editors as well. Don't forget that, because this is just another example of how the edit and the presentation of the story is trying to manipulate your perception of what is actually happening. Now, we can discuss on what is actually happening. I don't know what actually happens. I can tell you that whatever I was served, it's definitely not what happened. Now, at this point, we have this moment of Olivia versus Utica. So we have been primed twice. We are now good to go and get exposed to this issue one more. And who starts all of this? Candy Muse, of course. But we know that Candy is like this. I mean, we've seen her during the years on social media. You know, this is her element. So I'm not even going to fault Candy too much for this. She's just embodying her role in all of this. But Candy brings it on again. And Olivia starts complaining about the fact that Utica wasn't direct to her after Snatch Game. So she is pushing the narrative that Utica is being shady behind her back while she has time on camera. And at this point, we talked about this again. We talked about this before. We're going to talk about it again. There is a difference between being good and being at risk of elimination. Yet somehow everybody conveniently forgot this, especially Olivia. So by the end of this segment, she's basically complaining that Utica is not direct. So what happens then? Well, Utica justifies herself, and she opens up and she said, "I'm frightened about conflict." That's the whole point. I do my best to avoid confrontation. And let me tell you from personal experience, from somebody who is spending his life with someone exactly like this. When you are that kind of person, you will go through extreme length to avoid giving negative feedback. You will go to extreme length to avoid answering difficult questions and put yourself in situations that will lead to conflict. And no matter what happens, you always get in trouble for that, because you will always find people who will take advantage of this clear weakness of yours. And this is what I think exactly what happens here. The problem is that the fact that Utica is coming out so candid about the issue, saying, well, maybe I should have told you that you were not that good, but I'm frightened about confrontation, and that's the problem. So with this simple comment, she is killing Olivia's narrative. So what Olivia does? Well, she spins the narrative in another direction. Now the problem is not that Utica is shady on camera. Now the narrative becomes that Utica is different on camera and off camera. And I don't know how many of you picked up on this, because this is a thin line. So what does she mean by this? Well, she means that she is fake off camera and she is real on camera, because off camera she was told that her performance was good by Utica, while on camera Utica was being real and saying that her performance was deserving of the bottom. So by this point, and please notice this, by this point, Rosé intercepts. The editors let her intercept via confessionals, and then she continues during the actual Untucked. And she jumps on the same narrative, pushing on the same exact narrative that Olivia is pushing. The problem is that she is pushing it in an opposite direction. Because while Olivia is saying that Utica is fake off camera, Rosé is saying that Utica is fake on camera. But by this point, these queens kind of lost track. It looks like Rosé just jumped on the first opportunity that came by and didn't stop for a moment to think that she was actually pushing the same point of Olivia, but in an opposite direction. And the edit made the best to make us not see that she was pushing in a different direction. But this is what happened. So she brings on an example saying, well, do you remember where we were at dinner? You took out your reeds and you started insulting everyone. And by this point, I am thinking, wait a moment. Utica is reading bad reeds. And you know what happens when a reed is bad. A reed sounds like an insult when it's a very bad reed. So why the fuck do we have Rosé coming out and saying, camera on her mouth, and this is an exact quote, Utica is literally insulting people while they are having dinner. And I'm thinking, no, she's not insulting anyone. She's reading bad reads. Now, I have one problem, Rosé. Why are you fucking pushing this narrative? If you had a problem during dinner, why didn't you not speak directly and say, listen, we are tired, we don't have time for this? Instead of pushing the narrative that everyone was being insulted out of the blue. And it seems to me by this point that both Olivia and Rosé are complaining that Utica is not direct, yet both of them have demonstrated multiple times that they are not direct as well. Olivia by never going to Utica and saying what exactly was her fucking problem, and Rosé by sitting on that table and never saying, please, we are tired, it's no time for this. So everybody is complaining that Utica is not direct, yet everybody else is being not direct as well. And this is crazy to me. At this point, this is completely crazy. So in this exact moment, wait a moment, let me get back to, here we go, to this shot. In this moment, what happens is that Utica apologizes again. And she's trying to explain that she's trying to get her best self on camera, while off camera she tends to take more risks. She feels safer off camera. And how can you really blame her when we have seen for 13 seasons of this show plus 5 seasons of All Stars, we've seen the editors spinning the narrative, putting words on Queen's mouth, basically on a daily basis for every season. How can you really blame someone for saying, I try to get my best on camera, and then if I have to take any risks, I prefer to take them off camera, because you never know. Yet everybody is acting as if this is something new, and as if none of them is producing themselves, because this is what they are now accusing Utica of doing. They're spinning a narrative a third time. There's a third narrative. That Utica is playing a character on camera, when all of them are playing a character on camera. That is the name of the game. All of them know this, but they are all pretending that they don't know it. They are all pretending that they are all being real, and Utica is the fake one. And at this point I'm thinking, who do you think is playing character in here? Because Rosé, I see I'm older than 10 years old. I see that all your laughs in the confessionals are fake. I have credited Rosé over and over and over again for being smart and not triggered by the editors, but this time she's being smart again, but for a totally different purpose. But I see that you are editing yourself for the camera. That is extremely clear. There is nothing wrong with it, but don't go to other people and complaining that they do the same exact thing, because Rosé is producing herself, and the same exact thing is true for Candy. Candy is stirring up drama all of the time. She's being confrontational over nothing, because the lesson that she learned from social media is that being mingled in drama and being confrontational makes people talk. She's on everybody's lips. And then after she does all of this, she produces herself a little bit more by constantly talking about sisterhood for the cameras. And I can tell you, brotherhood, sisterhood, family looks nothing like whatever Candy is serving in her ambivalent way of producing herself. Because the way Candy is producing herself, it's not coherent. You cannot at the same time being whole about sisterhood and then being confrontational about nothing. That's not coherent. At least Utica is being coherent. Now, what about Olivia? Is she producing herself? Well, I don't know about you, but I can only think about 2 reasons why people would smile all of the time, every time. Either they are producing themselves or they are in desperate need of therapy. So I will let you think about which one of the 2 you think is the truth, but I would likely go with the first one. And we've seen Olivia being inconspicuous, pushing and being shady constantly since the beginning of the season. Did you forget all the constant questions? Who do you think is in the bottom? Hey, which critique would you give to the other queens when there was the big fight between Tamisha and Candy? That time Utica made a comment and Olivia said, hey, say it out loud so that person can hear. Do you think we never noticed this kind of things? So you can try to be as inconspicuous as we want. We are not buying it. You are producing yourself as well. Is there something wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it. But don't go pointing on other people saying, well, I am real while you produce themselves, because you're doing the same exact shit. Is Elliot producing himself? Well, we can talk about that, but what I can tell you is that we've seen him multiple times as well trying too hard on camera to be everybody's friend and failing miserably. Is that producing? I will let you be the judge of that. I think a little bit it could be. But then again, what's the problem with it? And is Simone producing herself? Well, what do you think? She's been playing the game since the beginning of the season. Do you remember fake buying into RuPaul's inner saboteur? Because if that's the storyline, let's buy into it. Did you forget about not mentioning possible backlash to Utica about the afro? Did you forget about siding with Candy during the Tamisha's fight during Untucked, and probably knowing very well that Candy is a drama queen and drama queens will get pushed to the top no matter what? Have you forgotten all of this? All of these queens are playing the game. All of them. The only difference is that while they are pointing out other people for playing the game, they are not acknowledging the fact that they are playing the game as well. All of them are fake for the camera. All of them. That's an implicit pact that everybody has in there. But at this moment, for some reason, they all pointed their finger against Utica. Who are the only people who I don't think are being produced in this set that I see? Well, I can only see two queens that come off as real genuine to me. One is Gottmik, who doesn't give a shit about anything. She lives her life. She is happy in whatever it is she's doing. She comes from a nice family. She has a huge career already out of this. She doesn't give a shit. She is chill. And the other one is Denali, who looks like she's constantly too busy not to get triggered to actually have any strength left to put on a character. Everybody else is playing up a character. So by this point I need to ask you the questions. Why all of a sudden they're all packing against Utica? And I can think of only one single reason for that. Number one, she is very unique to the race. She is the most unique queen among all of this pack. She's the only quirky one. She's an excellent seamstress. She is creative, and she is reminiscent of Crystal Method, a queen who made it to the top 3 the season before. And she's been told this on the runway, so they all know this. They also know that she is passive, that she's unconfrontational, and they all saw the producers sleeping on Utica until now. Exactly the same thing that happened to Crystal Method the season before. So, in this moment in time, they all know that Utica could possibly be in the bottom, and it's the perfect chance to bring her down and cut her up. And this is exactly what happens. And I'm extremely disappointed by seeing Rosé and Olivia doing these things, because there is no going around this issue. Once you dismantle the edit, once you dismantle the issues, the truth can be one and only one. They are trying desperately to push a narrative against one queen who looks like she is the most unique among this pack. So, this is the whole situation with Utica. I'm sorry that I didn't go through the chat. I tried to go through this as quick as possible because we've been going on for 1.5 hours already, and I'm kind of losing myself. But at least we got to interact in the chat a little bit more. Now, before we actually go to the confessional chart and the speculations, I desperately need to take a cigarette pause and to go to the toilet and go to the fridge and grab another energy drink because I'm kind of losing my voice a little bit. So we will go through the confessional chart and speculations in 5 minutes. Go to the toilet, grab a drink, take a cigarette, pause, pet your pet. If you have a pet, do whatever you want, and I will see you back in 5 minutes. And we're back. Let's remove this. Where's my drink? Oh, here it is. I have a question. Do you notice that I'm a little bit more active tonight? I actually had 3 good hours of sleep before actually coming on stream. This is only my second energy drink. That's incredible. That's incredible. Now, moving on to the confessional chart and the speculations for this episode. Now, right out of the bat, you can see that Candy basically narrated the whole episode. And not only that, she had a ton of positive confessionals, the most of every other queens. So, not only Candy was saved from the bottom this episode, not only Candy was saved from eliminations the episode before, now she is also being shown prominently during this moments of direct connection with the audience through the confessional. So her headed is on a roll. By this point, I think we could safely say that we expect her to be in the top 4. And maybe even to win a challenge really soon, because her headed is going on a rise. Remember when we said she had a redempted villain edit. So first she was redempted as a villain, and now she will be redempted performance-wise. So by this point, if she really is in the top 4, we are expecting to see her win a challenge. Will it be next challenge? Possibly, or possibly the one after. If she doesn't, that maybe there is still a teeny tiny possibility that she's not on the top 4, but there has been so much going on with Candy that I'd say that that's highly unlikely. So I'm expecting her to win a challenge really soon. Then we have Denali. Denali didn't win again. Shocker, she didn't win again. And she continues to be slapped on. She's basically being janned for the whole season. And also, she had a humanizing moment in front of the mirror. And you know what that means? That is cue for being ready to be eliminated. If you were not shown prominently as a front runner, then the humanizing moment in front of the mirror means that you are basically ready to go home. In the past seasons, they used to give this moments in the episode in which the queens were actually eliminated. For this season, they have switched things around a little bit. They start doing it a little bit before so that we don't see the actual elimination. But by this point, we know that she is basically ready to go. Moving on to Gottmik. Gottmik won this challenge. She's well on her way to the crown, and since even before the beginning of this season, we've been saying she is the winner of season 13. So we're going to see about that. And judging by what I'm seeing, I wouldn't even complain if that actually happens. Utica was thrown under the bus extensively by both the queens and the producers during the main episode and during Untucked. By this point, the fact that the producers actually went through all the trouble to portray her in this unflattering way during the episode actually confirms to me that she will not be in top 4. Because if only the queens had thrown her under the bus, but the producers did something else with all the editing for the episode, then I would say yes, there could still be a chance. But it was a concerted effort. The queens did that during production, and the editors carried it out during editing, and the producers gave it the final stamp of approval. So by this point, we are expecting Utica to go home. How soon will that be? I don't think it's going to be very soon, because she still didn't have any emotional moments in front of the mirror. And if they continue the trend that they've been carried on during the whole season, she will not be eliminated in the episode in which she gets the humanizing moments. We never know, but I don't expect her to go home like next episode. Rosé, like Simone, continues time traveling through confessionals. that might mean something. She had a very good edit, actually, this episode. The edit completely went in her direction for the kind of narrative that she wanted to push, especially during Untucked. She did really good during Snatch Game. She was also helped a little bit by the edit, as we've seen. So by this point, I would say it's pretty reasonable that she is our possible fourth queen for the top 4. Alongside with Olivia. Even though Olivia kind of disappeared from the confessionals from this episode, she had a ton of screen time and she carried the main storyline for this episode. Also, she has 2 wins under her belt. So she is our second queen that could fill the last spot for the top 4. Now, Tina completely disappeared. She's basically there to joke about Olivia being a diva. Mind you, she is joking in the confessionals. But to me, it looks like she's kinda trying to getting through a message without coming off as a complete bitch. But this is basically the only thing that we get from Tina in the confessionals. Now, why is this happening? Well, I told you in the very beginning of this season is very, very ambivalent. So in the same episode, we saw the edit completely corroborating what Olivia was kind of trying to push. And at the same time, we also had Tina calling her out in the confessional. If that's not the definition of being ambivalent, then I don't know what that is. And last we had Elliot. He had a little bit more of narrating time during this episode, but all in all, she basically disappeared. She didn't even have a proper goodbye. She was even time traveling during confessionals to say that she was losing the lip sync. I felt really sorry for Elliot this episode, but what can you do? It is how it is. So, who is going home? By this moment, the only people left who are not clearly in the top who are not clearly in the top 4 and already had humanizing moments in front of the mirror are Tina and Denali. So they are my nomination to be eliminated next episode. Now, Utica is also on a roll to be eliminated, but as I said before, she didn't really have her humanizing moments yet. And it's not likely in this season to have that kind of personal moment in front of the mirror and being also eliminated in the same episode. It could still happen, but I don't think it's likely. I would place all my money on either Tina or Denali. Now that we've gone through the speculations for this episode, let's go to our Kiki time, let's go to the questions, let's go to the comment, and let's have our usual time for ourselves, like we do in every live stream. Let's also have a little bit of a drink, get more comfortable, bend the chair back a little bit. Good God. Bobby said, I thought Denali was native and Mexican. I had no idea. I have no idea. I know that she has Latino blood. I don't know if she's of mixed race, if her parents were immigrants. I have no idea, actually. I have no idea. Sira says, I love Denali because she's so funny and is a very great lip syncer and figure skater. I think Denali absolutely killed this season. It doesn't matter what happened on the show. To me, she is the true winner of this season of Drag Race. And you know what winning really means on this show. It means winning our hearts, not winning the race. That's what will grant you the best opportunity to build a long-lasting career, a platform, and a way to pay your bills and have enough left to actually, save for a good life. Johnny Boy said, I hope Utica makes it to the finale. Well, after the edit for this episode, I don't think there is much of a doubt anymore. I would really be surprised if something like that would happen, but this season, all in all, has been very lackluster from this point of view. There are no kind of real shockers, You know, this season is full of shock value, but it's all shock value of the worst kind. It's never shock value that it's actually, you know, a good shock value. Like, for example, Utica winning next episode, or Utica eliminating Olivia this episode. That would have created an amazing storyline, but it didn't happen. Blazing Bart says, did you notice how the queens did all kind of quirky things while the camera wasn't on them in Snatch Game, like non-stop? I never noticed it that strong before. Well, they have to try to be on character as much as possible. When you film from Snatch Game, however long it lasts, if it's 1 hour, if it's 2 hours, you always want to be on character, because one of the usual cryptiques that they get is that, hey, you broke character, and then we are conveniently shown maybe that 1 minute in which one queen broke character while another queen was actually answering the question. So I wasn't surprised that they did their best to stay in character the whole time. That's rule number 1 for Snatch Game. Bobby says, am I the only one who thinks the production tries to shove bigger girls down our throats? Eureka, Latrice, Silky, Candy. I feel like they don't think fans will like bigger girls. Well, there is a bias. There has always been a weight bias in society at large. So I am not complaining about the representation itself. I am just complaining about the fact that somehow they always manage to cast bigger girls, usually queens of color, as villains. That's the only problem that I have. I think the last big queen that we saw on this show that was not necessarily portrayed as a villain was Kim Chi. That was basically her. That reached the top 4, I mean. Daniel says, thank you so much for the stream. Your analysis is always so insightful. I have to go to study now. Well, I'm happy that you enjoyed it. I thought we were extremely niche. Well, we are extremely niche, but I'm happy that my compulsion is actually entertaining to you. And thank you for coming. Lena Clark, back with coffee. Ooh, I am back with energy drinks, actually. Syria, the difference is that Latrice didn't get a villain edit on her original season, at least. Yes, because on All Stars they completely destroyed her. I mean, still, she said controversial things, but you can bet that they were edited in a way to make it 100% worse. They reached the effect that they wanted to reach. A ton of people talked about it. Jules, Madame LaQueer was big, as was Delta. Yes, in the season before. I was actually talking about the last queens that we had in the actual top 4 that were not necessarily portrayed as villains. Blazing Bard, back with a spiced up cigarette. You bitch. I don't smoke in the house, but I would love a normal cigarette. I would love it. Melanie, which is funny because Kim Chi was shady as fuck. Yeah, she was, in a very good way. And for once, they didn't portray a shady big queen as a villain, which was remarkable at the time. Bobby says, Delta did get a villain edit. Well, at the time, they didn't really have a proper villain edit, as we started to get to see it in Season 4 with Fifi O'Hara. Because there was this whole Heather thing, in which arguably all of that were kind of edited in a villainish way. But it was still very, very green. You know, the editors at the times were still very, very green. I could safely say that we didn't really get villains until we finally landed on Fifi O'Hara for Season 4. Mino something says, I showed my black friend Simone's runway and she got extremely offended because she thinks that the platform is tainted and should not be shown on there. Well, everyone has his own opinion. As I said before, I try to comment as little as possible about this kind of issues because I'm not even American to begin with. I have, I can, of course, I can tell you my opinion, but if you're smart, you basically give it the time that it takes. When it comes to this kind of issues, what I usually prefer to do is to shut the fuck up so that other people's voices can actually be heard, because they might be more informed and authoritative than mine. But I can understand why someone would kind of feel in controversial way. No, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh God, I'm starting not to get words, but you know what I mean. I understand why someone would take her using of the platform in a political way as positive, and others will take it as a negative things. Now, from my point of view, from far away, I usually don't like politics in my entertainment. That is something that I really don't like, because it's entertainment. But the point is, the kind of issues that Simone is bringing is about actual people being murdered. So for that kind of political message, I will absolutely give it a pass, because this is not about who you should vote. This is about real issues whose people's life actually depend on. So I will completely give it a pass from my point of view. Blazing Bard, where the hell is Darian in All Stars? I need to see her lip sync the house down. Darian has been slept on for so long. She was an incredible queen. She still is an incredible queen. I actually watched an episode of something, I don't remember. I was hopping through videos on YouTube. But she was being interviewed by Miss Kasha Davis. Can you imagine Kasha Davis and Darian Lake in the same video? It was really good. It was really, really good. I'm waiting for Darian Lake. I don't understand why they don't bring her back. She's a very, very talented queen. She has it all. She really has it all. But maybe she might be too old for Drag Race. They're trying to cater so much to younger viewers. I don't know. It's really strange to me. Some queens from season 6, it's really strange that they have never been cast for All Stars. Darian Lake is one. Jocelyn Fox is another. Trinity K. Bonet. Laganja expressed, that she didn't really want to go to Drag Race anymore, and I completely understand why. But so many queens from season 6 were being slept on. It's amazing. Jules says, did you know that Darian Lake is Pandora Box drag mom? Oh, yes, I know. They actually appeared together. I saw a clip, I think it was from the 90s. It was the Ricky Lake show with Pandora Box and Darian Lake. Yes, they are drag mom and drag daughter. Fantasia says, Simone is getting her Black Lives Matter and are important to Drag Race platform, so people will look it up and maybe be more involved. Well, it definitely worked for me. I went to check Harriet on Wikipedia, so I'm all in for it. I'm not complaining at all. But then again, I can see why some people would find it difficult to critique the style for fear of being misconstrued by the fandom as actually critiquing the message. Because we know how the fandom is. People are really afraid to speak up. Even when they have, a complete right to speak up. But this is what happens. If Drag Race has taught anything on its audience, is that if you... you can always get your message across if you misconstrue what's happening hard enough, which is a terrible message to send. But then again, it's business. It's business as usual. Blake says, Jocelyn was asked back, but they wanted a meme queen, not a serious competitor, so she won't be back till Drag Race stop with archetypes. I saw a tweet from Jocelyn Fox, actually 2 tweets. One was months ago in which she said, and I'm paraphrasing here, she said that she wasn't available to play a mean girl, to play a villain. And if that was what it took to go on Drag Race, then she was fine the way she was. And then there was another tweet who heavily criticized World of Wonder for being disingenuous when they started pushing pictures on Instagram, pictures on Twitter, saying, oh, be nice to queens. If you can't be nice, shut the fuck up. It was by the time that there was the big Tamisha versus Candy fight. And Jocelyn was like, well, you speak about, you are the ones who speak about, what did she say? Not abusing. Well, she basically called them out. She basically called them out on this because they are the first one who actually do this kind of shit during the edits and then come out on social media saying, yes, but be nice be nice to the queens. What about being nice when you're actually producing the season and not exaggerating things? So when you say something like this, I don't know. I'm not expecting to see Jocelyn anytime soon. I can tell you that much. Grover says, this episode showed that Olivia isn't really good at improv. Well, we kind of knew this. When there was the first acting challenge, we kind of uncovered that the edit didn't show Olivia repeating her lines at least twice, because what we were shown during rehearsal was not the same thing that actually aired in the actual challenge. And then during improv, she all went for physical comedy, and the moment she actually had to act some lines, she completely went off character, sounded completely unbelievable. So this is something that I said since the very first acting challenges. Olivia is not a very good actor to begin with. The edit is trying to do its best. She's also trying to play to her strength, which is good on her, but acting, I wouldn't say it's one of her skills at all. Beatrice says, Jocelyn said World of Wonder invented being mean to the queens. Yes, thank you. Sometimes I remember the general message, but I forget the words. Lena says, I respect Jocelyn more than ever before. Oh yes, that is for sure. I love Jocelyn Fox. I absolutely love. She is so unique. Sometimes when the new season comes on, you start kind of associating queens. It's kind of normal. You say, oh, these queens visually reminds me of, or the way these queens acts on the show really reminds me of how another queen was portrayed. With Jocelyn Fox, she's just unique. I never found myself in the situation of saying, oh, this person reminds me of Jocelyn Fox. Never happened. Gothboy UK says, remember when they changed the skin color of Jocelyn makeover guy to make it look like she have lightened his makeup? Oh yes, that is actually in our introduction for the shop. You know, when she looks metallic. Yes, how can I forget? Lena Clark, I hate that she was edited as Gigi knockoff when in actuality she's a huge nerd. Who are you referring to, Syria? Oh, Lena, who are you referring to? Oh, Nikki Doll. You guys were talking about Nikki Doll. Sorry, I started reading the tag message. I lost the rest of the chat. Jules, Nikki Doll is great. The judges were prejudiced against Nikki for being foreign and basically French. Well, at the time we speculated that since she had a very good sense of fashion and they were pushing so much Gigi as the fashion queen of the season, that she would have made Gigi look good by comparison. Because, Gigi is more on the costumey side. Gigi had a ton of help from actually her mother. When we actually saw something sewn by Gigi, do you remember the ball? The dress that she made was amazing, but the ball concept was not there to begin with. While, Nikki Doll has a very sharp sense of fashion. And even I can recognize it with no sense of fashion at all. You guys knows this. I'm basically famous for for being a troglodyte when it comes to clothing. Dixie, I need to know what is it about Olivia that makes me want to put on my rose-colored glasses. Is she so good that she just charmed the pants off of me, literally? That gorgeous smile. Oh man. Well, to me, every time in my personal experience, whenever I would see someone laugh too much, too often, I would always get a little bit on the defensive. Because in my experience, there has always been something behind it. So, I kind of, this episode really, I wouldn't go as far as saying, oh, she changed my mind on Olivia, because I don't have a mind on Olivia or all of these queens to begin with, at least from what comes off on the show. But let's just say I am enjoying her character much less after seeing this episode. Let's say it like this. Johnny Boy, Nikki Doll is great on social media. I heard that as well. I heard that she's doing really well outside of the race, and she actually has a personality, and she actually has a sense of humor. So the show really didn't do her justice. Syria, queens whose first language isn't English are at a huge disadvantage on Drag Race, and you usually get lackluster edit. It's really sad. It wasn't like this in the beginning. In the beginning, it kind of was the exact opposite. They were kind of playing a little bit on the stereotype. Remember Jessica Wilde? Remember Jara Sofia? Remember Alexis Mateo? We had this early example where language barrier was not really a problem. Dixie, come on now, Matt. We know you have a huge crush on Jocelyn. Yes. Yes, I do. Lena, I don't even speak French, but I love watching clips of Nikki in French interviews. When she's speaking her own language and doesn't have to translate herself, you can see how lively and goofy she is. I love the French language. It sounds so much like music to me. Well, let's state it better. I love hearing the French language because I know nothing of how to speak French. But I like how it sounds. It sounds really classy, if you know what I mean. Like British. It sounds so classy. It's so musical. It feels really nice. It really caresses your ears. Jules says, Olivia Lux is gorgeous. She looks like Linda Evangelista. She's a model. Oh, Jules. Groover says, Alexis and Jara had said that they were mistreating during the show because of the language barrier. You mean behind the scenes? Because the edit kind of made this features of not knowing the language endearing in a way. I mean, I won't doubt that they treated queens like shit behind the scenes. We have heard our fair share of shit of what's actually happening during filming. Never forget, season 4, a ton of tea was spilled by Willem saying that they didn't actually had a vegetarian alternative for Sharon Needles in the catering. So we know that there's a ton of shit going on behind the scenes. So I think that is absolutely possible. But at least the edit didn't push so much as they did, for example, with Nikki Doll. Syria says, yes, I remember on All Stars that Latrice said they should go home because she couldn't understand them. Damn, I must have removed that. I mean, no matter what happens, I will always love Latrice Royale. That is something that it's never going to change. I will always have a bias. So I don't doubt that she could have said something like that. I'm not doubting your word, but I do understand why I would have removed it from my memory. That's what I wanted to say. Groover continues, yes, apparently during the behind the scenes from the queens and productions and fans. Damn. Poor Jara. And Alexis. Alexis was done so dirty in All-Stars 5, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. Blake Robinson says, I prefer the musicals based on a person or queer icon to just random things, trying to pull the kiddies in the come on. Trying to pull the kiddies in. Social media, the musical? Yeah, well, I won't even start on the musical. I won't even start. I think that they need good music to start in. They need to have a little bit of heart in whoever is writing this damn musical, and they need to do something that it's actually stupid. This is Drag Race. The first critique that they have to the girls is that they fail to understand that Drag Race is stupid. Have fun with it. Yet we never have proper stupidity in this kind of things. What we have is a bunch of stereotypes being pushed over and over. Groover said, Alexis said on a live stream that her and Jara were mistreated from production, and also mentioned Jessica Wilde was also mistreated during her season. For fuck's sake. Do you happen to have like any link? Because I would totally dig something like that. You know, when I see this behind the scenes, and especially queens that are speaking from very, very early seasons where they were actually likely to have a contract whose NDA would actually expire, like after 5 years or 10 years. So they can actually come on camera and say, oh yes, this and this and this would happen. I'm actually very interested in that. So if you ever find a link, please leave it on Twitter. There's a link to the Twitter in the description. Leave it on the Discord. Leave it on the chat. Leave it somewhere. I would totally dig it in. Jules says, did you enjoy the share Rudy SM? What are you talking about? The Rusical? Share the Rusical? Oh, sorry, share the Rusical. Somehow I have removed it from my memory. Was it from season 11? Because that would explain that. Because I completely removed season 11 from my memory. Black Manta said, when Ru said, we all know what the second T stands for, and I scream, oh my god, I cannot read that. Come on, Black Manta. The second T was for Time Lord. We found out that the second T was for Time Lord. Jules, Share the Rusical was on season 10. Damn, I'm getting old. I don't know that. I completely forgot that. Groover, there is a video of Jake Yonsei and added a clip where Alexis was talking in live streams about this. Okay, I will have to check. I will have to find it. But you know, Jake is not well known to leaving sources in the description or in the videos. Lena, I would love a Rusical about famous historical drag queens like Fabulous Sabrina and Divine. The first mention of a drag queen in America was a black queen who ran a ball in the 1800s. Yeah, that would be an interesting idea for a Rusical, and maybe they can actually hire someone who could write good music. That would be nice for a change. Fantasia, I do feel like they should have at least one real challenge win. I feel like they should have at least one real challenge with the like they did with season 1 with the HIV PSA about either online bullying, mental health, or something that the queen have been hard. Fantasia, you're stroking. Are you drunk? Did you stop drinking during the live stream? You mean a more responsible message from once instead of just bullshit across the board. Yes, it would be nice. It would be nice. The very difficult thing is to send a message across in a way that feels lighthearted and funny if watched from an entertainment point of view, but that would also stimulate your curiosity and actually make you go out of the show and do research thing and leave something inside of you instead of just entertain you for 1 hour. It's not easy. It's not easy. A Groover says, I can try and find it for you. You're already bringing us all this stuff. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If it's worthwhile, and I will use it in a video, I will also drop the link and I will spread it so that everybody actually gets to see these kind of things. Eddie says, in my opinion, the best musical was on season 6. I completely agree with that. I don't know if it was the lack of autotune that actually made people who could sing shine. I don't know if that because the music was good. I don't know if it was really campy and stupid and over the top, or maybe because it was just the first musical. But yes, to me, they could have stopped there. That was the only one that I really remember. That and the Trump one, but only because I spent 4 minutes in a video editing that challenge. Those are the only ones that I remember. Jules, Candy Muse the musical. Anyone agrees? Come on. Blake Robinson fracking the musical. Oh, God. Blazing Bard, I really appreciate what you do on YouTube. Finding your channel made my days a lot better recently. Just wanted to put that out there since it's 1 p.m. and I'm drunk and emotional right now. Thank you. Thank you so much. And you don't know how good it is for me to find other people obsessive like me about this show, because a ton of people don't really get the gist of all of this. Sometimes I get comments saying, oh, you hate the show so much, you do all this because I'm critical of it. And at that moment I'm thinking, damn, what kind of a life would I really have if what I'm doing is actually putting effort to hate on someone? We don't hate the show. We are very attached to it. That's why we are very critical of it. As a matter of fact, I'm not this critical with people or things I don't give a fuck about. I just look the other way and go on with my life. We actually have a reverence for this show in a different way of what we used to have years ago, but still there is a strong connection to it. I shared a lot of my life watching this show, so it's nice to share this kind of things. It's really nice. I don't feel so awkward about it, coming out and say, oh, did you see the edit on this? Did you see what's going on? And then comparing it on how the Queens behaves on social media. And, I'm not an expert on drag, but I can say that I'm an expert on Drag Race. That I would say. Coffee says, I believe y'all could write the best musical ever. I would love to write something for Drag Race. I would love it. I could do it for free. I could really do it for free. Jules says, I look forward to your hilarious reaction and critiques of Drag Race. I get excited with these chats too. Thank you so much. I like the chat as well. I like spending time here after the show is actually done. This is my social time. Syria, I appreciate you too. Guys, you are stroking my ego too much. I have a huge ego. I struggle to keep it at bay. Thank you, but don't stroke it too much, because Mr. Invisible is sleeping on the other side of the room. And if you inflate my ego a little bit more, it will be pushed out of the balcony. I'm telling you. But Syria continues, you're one of the few authentic Drag Race channels on here. To think that it all started with the top 10 unaired read videos. Yes, and before that, videos that are not there anymore, it started with the reading is fundamental, restored, and extended, when those reads were not even available on YouTube. We got them. We recorded from the screen, from the logo side at the time. But thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's really nice to hear that. Gothboy UK says, I only watch Drag Race US to come here on Sunday. The show itself has jumped the shark for me. Well, thank you for always tagging us on Twitter. You always come out with good points, you know. If you want, join us also on the Discord. I don't know if you're already there with a different link, but I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it also when people kind of give us a hand. You know, they throw us a bone from time to time. Say, hey, did you see this? Because as usual, you know, we have very, very strict amount of time to do the show, so I don't actually have time to look at all the things I actually want to look for. Because after watching the episode, then immediately another episode is coming out the week after, and the week after, and the week after. So I can really appreciate a little bit of help. Thank you so much. Fernanda says, can you tell us who is your favorite queen? Please tell us. Well, I have many favorite queens for many different reasons. Almost one for every season. I can tell you the ones that I'm craving so much to see on All Stars, for example. I'm really waiting for Jade from season 1. Jessica Wilde from season 2, Darian Lake and Jocelyn Fox for season 6. These are my absolute favorite that I'm waiting to see again on the show. Then, of course, there are the most known ones, the most acclaimed one, like Bianca Del Rio. I appreciate what Willem does. I like Alaska. I liked her more some years ago when she seemed to be more creative, more concentrated on being a creative and unique drag queen than on actually carrying on drag as a business. But that is also kind of normal when you have that kind of fame to live up to. Jessica says, I wish I knew about this channel when season 12 aired. Well, we also didn't really help ourselves because I tried to start making videos, and then after 3 episodes I decided, well, it's a little bit too much, and I only did the live streams. But you know, better late than never. Thank you for joining. Blazing Bard, not Mr. Invisible, been pushed out of the bed 3 hours before he has to go to work anyway. You guys are bitches. I am leaving. Dixie, we need to remember it's Mr. Invisible's job to stroke. I cannot read that. Jules, the Discord was on fire last week. Fantasia and me were having a great chat with a couple of other awful, oh my god, I'm sorry, awesome, like-minded people. I'm happy that you joined it. Sometimes we usually have a proper chit chat on the Discord on Thursday night. Well, that's when I actually jump in and we have our time to have a little bit of a chit chat. So even though we have just one live stream on the week, if you want to have a talk, come on the Discord. There is a live channel when we can get to talk to each other. And if you really want to talk to me as well, I will be there on Thursday. So you're welcome. You're welcome to join. It's nice, you know. It doesn't make you feel so alone or so stupid. Lena says, I have one very important question. Matt, why did I write down all of those commercials just for you to never talk about them? Because I didn't have time this week to go through the commercials. And if you guys wait a moment with the comments, I have to show you why. And I hope Dixie is still in the chat, because I think that you are the one who will really appreciate this. So what happened this week is that we went to the pet shop. And we actually got some pets. So, as you know, I'm a huge fan of mice. I love them. They are tiny, smart little animals. And since our Marble passed away back in November, we've been, waiting a little bit of time, going through all of these things. And then we got these tiny little things. And we actually went and think, okay, let's get 4. And then the clerk says, oh, wait a moment, but we have 5 here and I cannot leave one alone in here, so I cannot give you 4. So we said, okay, give us all 5 of them, where, there is space, give us all 5. And then she realized, oh, wait a moment, there are actually 6. So I talked with my partner and said, okay, what are we going to do? We take 4, we take 6. And then he said, well, if we take 4, what happens to the other 2? What are the likely chance that someone will reasonably come in a short amount of time and take exactly 2? So we came out with 6 of them. You can actually see 5 in the picture, but we came out with 6 of them. So the free time that I actually had this week, I started working on updating the cage because there is 6 mice. We have 3 floors in the cage, and I'm going to make a 4th floor. It will be the secret beach. There will be sand, there will be palms, there will be a shallow swimming pool. So I didn't do the commercial because I actually spent all my free time working on wood for them. joining boards and cutting shapes and sanding down. So don't worry, we will go through the commercials. Don't worry, that will happen. You didn't do it in vain. That is something that I want to make it very, very, very clear. So I also have a video if you guys are interested. I have a videos on these little ones from 4 days ago when we actually put them in the cage, or better called habitat, because it's a habitat. And I hope you can see all 6 of them at different points in time. They just went on. They were still exploring. I tried to spread a little bit of their bedding from their original cage in the pet shop so they would feel a little bit more at home. So this moment they just went in and they went completely crazy. They were like, oh my God, where is everything? Where is food? Where is water? Where can I hide? Who are these people? What are the smells? So, I have to deal with very limited amount of free times, and I give them the precedence. So I hope you won't be angry at me. But it was kind of time. It was kind of time. So this is making things for them and creating new pieces of the environment, creating different ways in which they can exercise inside this big cage that they have. This is actually another one of my hobby. It really relaxes me to work on different pieces and create tiny little things, try to make them feel at home. It's never like being in the wild, but it's nice. It's nice. I liked it. I like it a lot. So this is what I've been doing in my free time this week. Candy Box says, those mice are charming. Rest in peace, Little Marble. I actually have a picture of Little Marble like next to me. My partner printed them for me because this time Marble was really hard on me. I don't know if I'm just getting older, I'm getting more sensitive, but one day you surprised me with these pictures next to my working area. It was really, really cute. Sen asks, what are their names? Well, we don't have names yet, not for all of them, but the white one that you see in the picture is called Pearl. The black one with the white stripe that you see in the picture doesn't have a name yet, and there is another one, black and white. She is Victoria. Vicky if you're a friend, and Miss Black if you're nasty. And then the 3 black ones, one is called Spot, like Data's cat in Star Trek, because of course I'm a huge fan of Star Trek. You guys should know that by this point. And the other 2 don't really have a name yet. I call one Mother, And oh no, the other one, there is one that is completely black all over. She is called Velvet. But we still don't kind of have names yet. Dixie, there you are. There you are. Weekly videos expected, please. I will show you when I'm done finishing with the new works for the cage. I will show you the before and after. So you can see them actually having some fun, because mice actually love like digging in sand. So I'm creating like this 4th floor with the secret beach, and there will be an actual live plant in there, raised enough so that they don't really eat it. So Groover, oh my God, Pearl, yes, Pearl. Yes, Pearl. It's you know, we have a thing for drag queens, as you know. So sometimes we name our pets over drag queens, but she also looks like a little Pearl, so it kind of stick to itself. Daisy, I wanted to read this question for Daisy, asking if we spay or neuter the mice. Now, mice are very tiny and very, very delicate animals. So if you can avoid having them go through surgery, that is really the best possible options. What we do is to simply get all mice of the same sex, and we always get all females, because male mice are really, really territorial. They will end up constantly fighting with each other for establishing dominance. So if you have to have male mice, it's better to have a neutered male mice among females, or getting females, so that, you know, we had one mouse years ago. She was called Cookie, and she actually needed surgery. So we ended up paying for the surgery. She was fairly young. She had good chances. But in the end, she developed an infection after a couple of months, and then she passed away. Even though, you know, she received anti-inflammatory, antibiotic. We did the best we could, but they are such tiny animals. If you can avoid any kind of surgery, it's the best thing. Groover, please name one Tamisha. Maybe Tammy. like 2 syllables, it's the best, because with 2 syllables maybe they can remember their name. 3 syllables starts getting a little bit more complex, but they definitely recognize you by smell. That is for sure, because I'm the ones who actually cleans the cage, who actually has to physically remove them from the cage when I need to clean it, and so they hate me. So when they smell me, they run away. Lena says, Mr. Invisible has every right to name their mice after sweet things. That has nothing to do from RuPaul's Drag Race. They don't have to have war flashbacks while playing with their little friends. No worries, the names will come. The names will definitely come. I don't come with, you know, predetermined names. Sometimes I get to know them and then find a name that works after 2 or 3 weeks. For now, some of them are simply White Belly or Cookie number 2, because she reminds me of Cookie. So names will come. Names will come. We are not in any rush. Jules, please name one Chi-Chi the Vein. Respectful to the memory. We'll see. Chi-Chi is a name that with 2 syllables work. 2-syllable words always work for animals. Make it simple to their ears. Gothboy UK says, I had 2 male mice and they were vicious when in a mood. My favorite was a rat called Garlic. He was given to me in a pizza box because it was going to be snake-like. Oh my god. My god. That is dreadful. Groover, if I had a mice, I would name him Pikachu. Well, they are tiny little animals. You know, we live in an apartment. It's a small apartment. And we cannot have dogs. It's written in our contract. We cannot have dogs. And I'm not that much of a cat person myself. I love cats, but the problem with cats is that they are kind of territorial to the house itself. So since me and my partner, we are from different nations actually. So when we go to visit my family, for example, we would need to leave the cat somewhere, and which means in my in-laws' house, which is not a good thing for cats. And also the cat wouldn't be happy. And since we live apart from my in-laws, we don't even actually have someone who could say, okay, I can come to your house and take care of the cats while you guys are away. So a cat is out of the questions. And we find ourselves in working well with mice. It works. It works well. It's they are tiny little animals. They are fun. They are really, really smart. They are nothing like hamsters. I had one hamster years and years ago, and she was really stupid. Like, she was stupid. But mice are nothing like that. I mean, the cage is an open cage, and they have a sense of gravity. They don't jump out. And they are really, really curious, which works great for me because I like to build a ton of little things and, changing the cage from time to time. The only downside is that, on average, they live 24 months. So it's really an exercise in letting go. So yeah. A huge shout out for mice. If you didn't get it from our logo already, a huge shout out to those tiny little lovely animals. Mrs. G, male hamsters are really territorial. Females as well. They are also territorial with each others. If you have two female hamsters, they will go at each other's throat. That's because hamsters by themselves are not really social animals. Mice are, but except when you have packs of males. What you would usually find in the wild would be a male with his group of females. That's what you would find. Syria says, my house is basically a zoo. 2 dogs, 1 snake, and 1 bird. We had a few stray cats that would come around in the house when my family first moved in. Well, if I had my independent house, and I mean also independent from my partner, I would probably have a zoo as well. That I can grant you. For sure. Mrs. G, hamsters tend to want to jump out of cages all of the time. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I remember mine would fall from the different floors of the cage. Like, they don't give a shit. They just go. It might have something to do with the fact that they don't have a long tail, which is essential to maintaining balance. But I noticed that too. It's actually dangerous not to have an hamster in an enclosed cage. Black Manta, guinea pigs are far superior to hamsters. Guinea pigs are really curious and love it when you stroke them. Yes, they're like little dogs. Really like little dogs. But then again, I would need a cage like 3 times as big for a guinea pig. I know what it's sold in shops, and I don't really agree with that. If I get animals, they have to have a proper space. They have to have a proper space. There is no doubt about that. Like they have to be able to actually run. That's what I believe. So we don't have a space for guinea pigs. And that's a pity because they are lovely little animals and they last a little bit longer than 2 years. Fantasia says, oh yeah, I'm not sure who told me to watch Serial Mom last week, but I'm going to say it. And thank you, I think. I heard that too. Where did we hear that? Could it be in the Discord? I don't remember. As I age, I'm also losing neurons on the way. Gothboy says, my chinchilla usually wait until everyone is watching. That starts... Oh, I cannot read that. I cannot read that. Oh my god. Ah. Okay, enough with the animal talk. Let's go back on topic. Let's go back to Drag Race. It's only 1:30 in the morning. We're only doing this for 2 hours and a half. We usually go on for 4. You guys are all asleep, talking about animals, talking about pleasuring yourself. Or animals pleasuring themselves. Oh my god. You know what? Fantasia says, I think you're missing a lot of messages. Am I? That could be. I mean, it's YouTube's chat, so I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Jules, I'm awake. I'm future Jules from New Zealand. From tomorrow. Oh, God. And Grover, yeah, remember the stream going to about 3 a.m. That's our usual time. That's our usual time. You know what? Since we are so chilled and understanding of each other's, I would take like a 2-minute cigarette pause. Like I will have half a cigarette, but I need a little bit of nicotine, if you know, if you know what I mean. So let me pop in a little bit of copyright-free music in a couple minutes, and then we go back to the stream. What do we have? Let's go with the classic. Let's go with Up Above. And there it is. Oh shit. Stop. Not yet. This is what happens when I add music to the stream. They immediately play. There we go. Let's have a little bit of a cigarette and I'll see you back in 5 minutes. And we're back again. That was a nice cigarette. There's nothing better than some nicotine from time to time. I need to quit smoking soon, but we'll see about that. We'll see about that. Fantasia says, we are trying to figure out who wants to do viewing parties and what we should watch during the viewing party. Does anybody have any ideas? Let's try not to mention here on YouTube, that we actually do that. Let's try not to say it. but yes, that happens. That actually happens. Blake, I wish Fifi stood up for herself and spoke out more on her season. She was always so reserved and quiet. She was very outspoken on social media. She always spoke out. She even misremembered one critique. I remember in All Stars 2 when she said this critique was not given to Alyssa. I thought that they told Alyssa that her outfit was fashion, and during a viewing party, Fifi said that it was referred to somebody else. I like to think that, she wasn't trying to manipulate things, she just misremembered at the time. But World of Wonder went out of their way and they published the full critique to disprove Fifi, just because Fifi was running her mouth so much outside of the show. Candybox says, Le Champion telling Michelle to fuck off would have been divine. Oh my god. Fantasia would have loved to see Jen go off. Jen is very poised. It's good that she didn't really go off. We'll still have that meme face from her. From the Rusical, Madonna the Rusical, the one that Gigi won by stepping back on the runway. Well, let's not get into that. But, she is good the way she is. But, all of these queens, one way or the other, they are producing themselves. This is simply unavoidable, It was the whole theme of this episode that why should you call somebody out for producing themselves? But they all do it. Because let's not forget, winning Drag Race, and I'm not talking about winning the prize, I'm not talking about winning the season, I'm talking winning the fandom, will basically grant you to become a millionaire. If you play your cards right, if you work hard, and if you're not in a pandemic, of course, you will definitely make more than $1 million after appearing on Drag Race and leaving a very good impression on the fan base, at least for 5 or 6 episodes. That's the real prize. And so that's the first incentive to actually try to produce and present your best self for the camera. And also the other incentive is to not anger the fandom, because they can make your life impossible if they wish to do so. We see that kind of shit going on over and over again every season. So I can understand why Jen decided not to go off, but we all saw through the lines what was going on. You have these stares from Jen during her season that you can say, okay, I'm hoping she doesn't snap. Otherwise, people are going to eat her alive, and the editors are going to eat her alive. Fantasia, just so you are aware, we are having the conversation of who we have loved to see snap on the judges. Oh, okay, sorry. I went to smoke and I completely lost the point. I'm off here and off there, as usual. But you guys know this already. Sasha, how do you feel about the next episode? From the teaser, it will be the makeover challenge, and they will do it in pairs. I honestly don't know how to feel about it. Well, I'm happy that we have a makeover challenge. Whenever we have a challenge that actually shows us the heart of drag, so suing challenge, makeover challenge, those are the episodes that I love the most. I always love them the most. So I'm happy about it. But we couldn't have had actual people coming for the makeover challenge because they filmed this during the pandemic. So I understand why they are paired and they do each other's makeup if this is what's going to happen. The problem is, who is going to pair the queens? That's the only thing that I'm thinking right now, because knowing what is going on, I doubt that there will be an objective mini challenge that there is one winner and the winner will get to actually pair the queens. It's something that we saw in the earlier season, and it's something that we see going on in Drag Race UK. So how do I feel about it? I'm excited about this kind of episode, and curious also about the kind of edit that they will actually push for this episode, especially after seeing what they did for Utica this episode. Blake, who do you guys would think an all-winner or Miss Cuckoo season? Who do you guys would think an all-winners? Are you talking about an all-stars, all-winners? Well, that depends on the queens who would actually agree to participate, because as you know, some queens will not go through the length of risking their image and their career only for a mere $50,000 after taxes. I mean, a queen like Bianca Del Rio, for example, can make that kind of money in 2 weeks. So I don't see the incentive unless they are given an extreme amount of power in the contract terms, which it's something that I'm not necessarily excluding. But you know, then again, why would you do something like that, like that if you don't really need it? Lena said, someone make a super campy Broadway musical about Jan going mad after her run on Drag Race and becoming a drag villain. How to destroy Drag Race. She tries to recruit Denali as her partner in crime. LOL. Melanie, remember, if you don't win the crown, then win the crowd. Alyssa Edwards. That's a great quote. That's the best quote, actually. And, you know, it's never been so true that losing on Drag Race is basically the new winning. Because especially if you're eliminated in a controversial matter, the audience will actually empathize with you. And that establishes an emotional connection that really gets your message across, really gets people to pay attention to you. And in that point, if you have something to serve, they will definitely be looking. Candybox says, Sonique is coming back to snatch all of their edges for All-Star 6. I hope so. That would be incredible. I've been waiting for Sonique for so long as well. That would be incredible. Is it going to happen? Well, they had Gottmik this season, and they actually had Sonique in that episode. It was a Christmas special. They had Sonique. So, yes, that is possible. I don't know if they will go as far as having her up already for All-Star 6, but All-Star 7, yes, absolutely. Come on, it's time. It's absolutely time. Jules says, Gottmik kind of spoiled and oh no, not reading that. Move on. Jules, Gottmik and Kending were doing makeup in a studio, and it's shed of some sort. Trixie and Bianca won't do an all-winner season. I don't doubt that. They survived Drag Race. They are not going to risk their career, especially such a profitable career. I mean, let's be honest for a moment. It's hard. It's what you do. It's what you enjoy, but it's also what pays your bills. And if it's a moment in time in which it pays your bills very well, then don't fuck it up. If it works, don't fix it. Remember that. It doesn't matter the kind of business you're in. If it works, don't fix it. Fantasia said, are you able to find a contract for the UK franchise? Because those girls spill a lot of tea, and their yearbooks interviews that they do, kind of like the US version on What You're Packing, that would be incredible. You know, if we would get famous enough that we actually get queens that have been on the show to send us an anonymous copy of their contract. That would have been incredible. With that said, is it likely to happen? I don't think so. I don't think so. But I'm going to make a video about the UK version versus the US version with some of the finds that I think it was Beatrice in the Discord. She pasted, no, she actually linked to the rules followed by the BBC for the way they edit the queens of the show. And that is something we're definitely going to talk about. Absolutely. Absolutely. Coffee says, the confirmed queens who said they would be back for an all-winner seasons are Katya, Alaska, Bob, and I forgot who else, but I had a list. Oh, that's nice. I'd love to see Bob back on the race. Alaska, I don't know. The last All-Stars really didn't do her any favor. She's been really smart about it. She's been in on the snake jokes. You know, she made that video, Valentina. She played it really, really professionally, but I don't think it, you know, All-Stars really helped Alaska at all. Sorry, the chat skipped a little bit. Comments are coming in. Let me see if I find something interesting, something that sparks my interest. Oh, Mark7811, new user. Thank you for coming. They should do a lip sync battle royale. Lip sync is arguably one of the best part of Drag Race. I love the lip sync. I would fucking love to have them publish the whole lip sync, at least on YouTube. At least on YouTube, you know? People love lip syncs. We love them so much that they gave us a first premiere this season all about lip syncs. What are they waiting for? It's beyond me. It's really beyond me. Coffee, Tamisha should organize a Superstars battle. Well, I'm happy with what she's doing right now. You know, at time, this Friday, it was actually Saturday morning, I actually woke up at 4 a.m. to go see Tamisha's drag battle. Yes, I did that. And then went to sleep again. I was half asleep, but I was there. I always try to be there. It's super nice what she's doing. It's super nice. People are giving her a little bit of shit because the connection is not that great, but come on. People always find a way to complain for some reason. You know, if she addressed it, it means that, you know, a lot of people said something like that. And Melanie, for an all-winner season, the money would need to be at least $1 million. I absolutely agree on that. $1 million or $500,000 and a very specific contract. Because, you know, queens who have that kind of career will not put their image back in the hands of World of Wonder 100%. Like, they might have a clause in there saying that they have veto on some way they've been portrayed with. There has to be something. Otherwise, these queens would never come back. Not even for $2 million. You have a career that can grant you $1 to $2 million every year for the next 10 to 15 years. If you're a queen like Alaska, like Bob, like Katya, they are not coming back if they don't have more control of the contract. That is something that, you know, that we can reasonably say is for sure. Lena, imagine a drag race challenge where the queens have to perform while dealing with what they dealt in an actual club. Like drunk bridal parties trying to grab their wigs and steal their tips. Oh my god. That would be a shit show. I would absolutely in for it. I would be in for it. Gothboy UK says the UK has laws that would make a contract like the US version illegal. I don't doubt that. After reading the guidelines for the way they edit for the BBC, I absolutely don't doubt that. The US, from this point of view, is absolutely wild. It's absolutely wild. Oh, Black Mantra is going to sleep. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. Hopefully see you next time. Valentine, I like Alaska more outside of the show. Me too. Me too. She used to be like really wild. You know, there is a performance out there. It's on the BitChute backup channel. Where you actually see Alaska really pushing boundaries during a live show. Alaska was really, really wild. Before she became the businesswoman that she is today, she used to really push the boundaries of drag. And I lived for all of that. Jules says, Alaska is the most overrated queen in her story. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that she was one of the first very commercially successful queen from Drag Race. You know, after Manila Luzon in season 3, she kind of made a career for herself in music videos and drag music. You know, Sharon did something similar, but what stuck in my mind were really Manila and Alaska. I think that for World of Wonder, she was a huge success from a commercial point of view. So yes, I mean, I don't think she is overrated. I think she was very... She became very commercial in a way. She used to be really unhinged. Blake Robinson. Oh, there we go. Even though I'm late to reading the comments, but you see, I'm not the only one who was thinking this. Blake says, Alaska's music was my first introduction to drag as an art form. My gunkle? My gunkle would play it in his car on blast, and I'd go home and hide while I listened to it in my room. Coffee, waking up at 4 a.m. for a disco drag nap. Always, you know, if I have the possibility that I'm not working soon in the morning, why not? Why not set a little bit of an alarm, have some time with Mama Tamisha, have some time with the guys in the chat, and see some great amateur performers? Why not? It's a beautiful idea. Even if I can support it by being there, by talking about it on my stream, by chatting, you know, it's nice. I really appreciate what Tamisha is doing. Sasha says, I can't blame you. I wake up at 3 a.m. so I can watch Simone's House's streams. Simone's House's streams? What? That's Simone's stream. I'm sometimes I'm really out of the loop. You guys are my eyes to the outside world, because I try to do so many things all of the time that then I get completely lost. So no, I didn't know Simone had streamed. Oh, by the way, Fantasia, I tried to download the stereo app because I wanted to listen to the podcast that was made by La Ganja, the one that you linked in the Discord. And you know what happened after I ran my emulator, my smartphone emulator, downloaded the app? It asked for my fucking phone number. And at that point I said, I'm not giving you my phone number. So I went online and looked for a disposable phone number. And so I used the disposable phone number to actually subscribe to the stereo app. And so everything was set. I was ready to listen to the podcast, and then I realized, oh, wait a moment, my fucking emulator does not play audio. So it allows me to download the podcast. But at that point, I was like, I have no patience for this anymore. It will be another time. But I will definitely listen to it, because that is the podcast in which Laganja is saying every one of them is playing characters. So if I did that the time and the patience, it would have been nice to add a little bit of that into this stream. But maybe we'll talk about it in the next stream, along with the commercial thing. Blazing Bard, Fantasia, could you drop me a link to the Discord? Where is it? It's in the description as well. It's in the description as well. If you expand the description, you will always find link to the Discord, to Twitter, and the Patreon for those of you who would like to support us directly. I always forget to plug our Patreon a little bit. But yes, there is one. So, you know, if you have to throw a couple dollars, we're here. Where are we? Where's the chat? Coffee, I love when I see this fam in the Tam fam chat. Me too. I clocked you and I clocked Eddie last time. And sometimes that RPDR channel, he used to come on stream, mostly for season 12, sometimes All Stars. Not that much this season, but I saw him as well. It's really nice. Lena, Fantasia is our wine auntie who gets shit done. And I'm so glad she's this channel president. Yeah, Fantasia has also some good ideas of things that we could do to the live streams. The problem is that I'm not organized. Shit, I'm not organized. But there are a ton of things that we could, or you guys could auto-organize yourself in the Discord. You know, playing some games, playing some guessing games. I hope I have a little bit of time more this week, and we can do it in the next stream next Sunday. Groover, yeah, Simone streams in the House of Avalon account. Is the House of Avalon Gigi's house? The House of Avalon is Simone's house. The stream is on Twitch on Saturday. I made a Twitch account actually 3 weeks ago, so I could actually check it out. Will I remember? Will I have the time? I doubt about that, but it's nice to know that there is a possibility. Candybox, Fantasia, what's your cocktail of choice? Fantasia, vodka. One word, vodka. You drunk. Oh, God. Lena Clark, Fantasia likes her vodka stirred with vodka. Yes, with some vodka ice cubes. Sen, what time? Oh, don't skip chat. What time do they do their Discord discussion and whatnot? My university will be having a mental wellness day, and I have a Thursday off. We actually do it on Thursday. Well, I'm actually there. You know, you have to understand one thing. The Discord is auto-organized by the fans. Fantasia is the president of the Discord, so I am a guest. And I'm usually there on Thursday because that's when I have the most time. But they are starting to organize themselves to have a little bit of something done every day. So, you know, just pop in, look around. There is a live chat. There is a live channel. If you see anybody popping in there, just pop in, have a chit chat, talk about whatever you want. It's nice to know that there is a place where we can actually talk about all of these things without fear of being, you know, attacked over nothing, being misconstrued. You know, we are all reasonable people. That's why we're trying our best to stick together as best as we can. So it's nice. Just pop in. Let's see how it goes. Blake, I'm dying to play Drag Race Guess Who on the Discord. I have so many ideas. You see, it's great. We just need the time to implement those ideas. And if I can help, just ask. I will try to do the best with the time that I have. But it's nice to make some games. It's really nice to play some games. Fantasia, oh yeah, I'm working on the PowerPoint. I found a video editor that I like. That's great. That's great. Start playing a little bit about it. If you have any troubles, then we can I can help you with that. I can definitely help you with that. Lena, if you're ever at a bar and want to get messed up, order a Grateful Dead. Trust me. I don't think I'm old. I don't think I'm young enough to get drunk at bars anymore. You know, these days I get a couple beers for dinner, and the morning after I already have a headache. That's Sasha, Gigi is not from the House of Avalon, but she's really close with them, so they consider each other family. Oh, damn, I forgot the name of Gigi's house. Late if Nick said, oh my lord, I'm late again. Don't worry. Don't worry, at least you landed. Sen, I really want to join on the Discord, but I never know what time to get on Discord. Since it is my understanding that we are somehow sticking to the timing of the live streams, which is about anywhere between 7 p.m. GTM plus 0, and 11 p.m. GTM plus 0. This is usually the time that I noticed. But, you know, there are people from all over the world, so it's just a matter of organization. It's really easy to just pop in and say, okay, who's here? Who wants to do something? Coffee. UK Hun and Read You Wrote You are my most watched Ru songs on the tube. But I also say Where My People At and ID and Closet is my name, Being Soft and Supple is my game pretty often. I have my partner who gets compulsive over this kind of over drag songs that played on Drag Race. So it's being played compulsively UK Hun for the past 3 weeks. It's been a nightmare. I can assure you that. Candybox, Widows, still serving looks while I'm eating those fries is my favorite lyrics. Love Widow. I love Widow as well. I love Widow. She was so real during season 12, and she got shat on by the edit so much and by people online so much. You know, she called Jackie Cox being shady over and over and over again, and she always did it with a smile. You know, like really having fun, understanding what's going on and having fun with it. She's so underrated. She's so underrated. Jules, Simone and Gigi are house sister. Avalon, there's also a Venus Envy too. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. For some reason, I had the idea that Gigi was part of this house called the House of Avalon. I don't know why it stuck in my mind. I don't know where I read it. Sometimes I just go on Google, start Googling things, and got lost in the rabbit holes. And then if something it's not exactly what I'm looking for, so I don't have like a link saved somewhere, then I start quoting things without having zero idea where I picked them up. It's fucked up like that, yes. Blazing Bard, Nikki is in town. Watch me prance my way to the crown as a very special place in my head, just like that freaking Christmas jingle. Flor Leo says, hi, hello, welcome. I saw you all 5 times. Oh. Lena, can we get a mod on the spam, please? There is an option to limit the comments. Like everyone can put a comment every 60 seconds. I never turn that on. I always trust that people will self-moderate themselves. And if something happens, there's always Fantasia on the line. When she's not drunk, of course. Lena, that floor person, I don't know if you already blocked it. My God. No, maybe it was just somebody really excited. Blazing Bard, I feel like there's been smoked more than one cigarette. I can grant you, I would have loved to be something else than one cigarette. But yes, it was one cigarette. I don't know about anybody else. I'm just speaking for me. Fantasia Iman is coming for the spammer coffee. Yes. Blake says, whoever edits the Drag Race wiki needs to watch the show. The track records are crazy. You mean they are not editing Drag Race properly in the wiki? You mean in Wikipedia or the wiki like the fandom.com wiki? Sasha, I love the House of Avalon. I'm always watching the streams. Then I need to definitely check it out. I made this account on oh damn, what's the name? More energy drink. Twitch. There we go. I made the account on Twitch because I actually realized that sorry, I need to smoke again. I have a little bit of a cough. That Fifi O'Hara, well, Jeremy, because Fifi O'Hara doesn't really exist anymore. That Jeremy was still doing drag, but only on Twitch. So I actually made a Twitch account to watch Fifi, and to tell her, I made a Twitch account to watch you. Because she does incredible drag. But we don't see much of that on Twitter anymore, which is the only social media that I use. So I need to start checking out a little bit of what's going on Twitch. That's for sure. Groover says, are you ready for Drag Race Down Under? I am never ready for any new season of Drag Race. We are overloaded, Sometimes I have some guys that come in the chat, or gals, that come in the chat and say, oh, are you going to do the job for Drag Race UK, Drag Race Canada, Drag Race Down Under? And I'm like, girl, I don't have the time for that. I don't even have the time to watch it sometimes, It's nice that we have the Discord because sometimes I think, you know what, let's have a little bit of a chit chat, and at the same time we can discuss the episode, and that keeps me a little bit more grounded. I don't just watch pimple popping video to fall asleep at night. I actually follow the new seasons as well. But other than that, I would completely lose it. I think I kind of miss off-season. We never have off-season anymore. We just have like 2 months in summer, sometimes. So House of Avalon and House of Piss, is that a joke, or is it like a real name? So Candy asks if they've been merged. Sasha, House of Avalon and House of Piss. Oh, it's a real name. They didn't merge. They are just close to each other. Okay. You guys are more knowledgeable than me on as I like to say, as I always try to remember to say, I am more an expert on Drag Race, not on drag itself. Mostly because I'm never active on social media at all. That is something that I never used, and it's something that I never got close to using. And I miss all these sort of things. That's why I'm always so grateful, when people pop out link and say, okay, look at this thing, it's interesting. Because to me, it looks like this huge plate of different things, and I have no idea where to choose from. What do I watch? What is interesting in all of this? Where there is something that can appeal to me and appeal to the things that I like and the things that I like to discuss. It's like, do you know that feeling that you have when you have so many possible choices that it actually makes it difficult to actually choose? You kind of get lost. That's the feeling that I have every time I hear about podcasts or live streams or things or reviews. I actually get lost and end up watching what people actually suggest me. That's what happens. Oh, so House of Piss is a world play, Melanie. Thank you. Blake, I really enjoy making random Drag Race seasons. I take placements, and the season cast I did with 12, and Widow won 5 challenge, as she should. That sounds correct. That sounds correct. Blake, what are your guys' picks for the UK crown? That's a nice question. That's a nice question. Do we all agree on Lawrence? Because I think I can speak on behalf of everyone when I say that we all agree that it's going to be Lawrence. Blake Robinson still waiting for Drag Race Vatican City. Coffee, my UK top 3 was Taze, Ahura, and Lawrence, so I'm basically out. Gothboy, I think Lawrence Cheney will win Drag Race UK. Although, if something goes wrong with her, then Bimini would be crowned. Taze is unlikely to win, and Ellie is too. Sasha, I only have Instagram for Drag Race, so is all I know about. I don't have an Instagram account. I'll never make an Instagram account for one simple reason. Instagram is owned by Facebook, and fucking Facebook 5 or 6 years ago didn't let me reactivate my old account where I had all my old friends because they wanted my fucking passport. So I'm holding on to that grudge. They can fuck themselves off. I don't care. I'm never making an Instagram account or a Facebook account or anything that has to do from Facebook. Dixie, for some reason, Google has cut off my Chrome, so I can't even get into Patreon. I'm going to have to restart my device, which means I will lose a lot of my content. Dixie, Google actually has a function. If you go under the let me open the Google page for a moment. If you go under the history tab, you will see another tab opening with the recently closed. So if you reboot your computer and restart Chrome, you should actually find out that under the recently closed there will be like the tabs that you have opened before, like recently closed 11 tabs, and you just click on there and it opens everything again. Sasha, I'm Team Bimini, but I think Lawrence will win. Groover Orna, I think we in Europe like Lawrence the most, and the US prefer Bimini. I like a quirky queen, I like a real queen, and I like a fat queen. Let's be honest about that. So, oh my god, I shouldn't have said that. Shit. It wasn't meant as offensive. It was meant as something else, but you know. So I like Lawrence. I really like Lawrence. Well, Bimini was really, really funny in the latest challenge. Like, she really killed it. She really, really killed it. Daisy, I feel so bad for Lawrence. He had to delete his Twitter this week. Well, I don't know if he deleted it, but he at least deactivated it. Yeah, it was completely uncalled for. But you see what I mean? You never know with this fandom. Everyone is so concerned about winning the fandom, and nobody is concerned about actually educating the fandom a little bit. They don't give a shit. They just want attention, because attention means coins. Ah. Dixie, I was disappointed by the way Lawrence treated Lily this week. Who's Lily? Coffee Vinegar Strokes went on Dragger podcast and talked about how Bimini gets praise for being a trash bag queen. Very fun laugh, good times convo. I found Bimini entertaining. You know, I wouldn't say she is my top favorites and so, but I found her entertaining. It's a good watch for me. Dixie, I was disappointed by the way Lawrence. Oh, yes, I read this one. Sorry. Where am I? The chat skipped again. Coffee, yes, Matt. F the man. I completely agree. Yes. Oh my god. Getting a little bit too wild. Fantasia, the 8 is ridiculous. I mean, the fandom are attacking YouTubers. Oh, yes, that is something that I wanted to talk about and I completely lost it. There is a YouTuber called Kyla who made a video talking about, and I watched part of it because it was posted on the Discord. She made a video talking in a very respectful manner on how season 13 of Drag Race, the United States version, feels a little bit off compared to the previous season. This is what she did. She gave her opinion. Little did you know, like less than a week later, the video was privated and another video came up in which she said that people tried to dox her and probably managed to dox her. People tried to contact her workplace to talk shit about her for the fact that she stated her opinion on a video on YouTube, on a TV show, and people tried to get her fired. And this is fucking wild. This is fucking wild. And I completely feel that because you see, we are not as how can I say? I don't want to say respectful because I don't feel that we are disrespectful, but I am brutal with my opinions. And you know that there are people out there who will try to come for you for whatever. I am not surprised at all by what happened to Lawrence since he's a public figure. This thing is spreading so much that is spreading to us here on YouTube as well. And you know, Kyla is not even a big YouTuber. She's a small content creator with her opinions. And she had to private her videos. So people are getting fucking crazy. So for this matter, what I say, and I always say it, keep yourself as private as possible. Because your ability to state your opinions, your ability to exercise your free speech are indirectly getting suppressed by this kind of attitude from random people online. So keep your anonymity as best as possible. As best as possible. Anonymity is not an excuse to say whatever shit that you want. It's an instrument to protect yourself from this kind of environment. So it's disgusting. It's simply disgusting. DEE says, hey yo all, I hope everyone is having a good Sunday. It's already Monday morning here. And in New Zealand is probably Monday afternoon. You know, the thing with Lawrence, what I think happened, I talked about it before, but I don't think she did anything wrong when she called out Ellie for what happened in the previous episode of UK. So basically, you had this moment in which Ellie has to decide the order of performance for the episode. It's going to be it was going to be a comedy show. She had to decide the order. And so she went like, okay, I'm choosing a horror to go first so that I can look better by comparison. And then she turned to everybody else and said, oh, you guys, are you fine if I put yourself in this order? And Lawrence basically went back to Ellie and said, well, you cannot have your cake and eat it too. If you're going to play the game like you're doing with a horror, play the game with everyone. Or if you want not to play in the game and we all decide together how we want to present ourselves, then we all get to decide together. But you cannot have it both ways, which is completely reasonable, yet people went online calling her a fat chi. You know? That's it. It was disgusting. It was really too much. It was really too much. It was uncalled for. It was rude. It was everything that you would expect from this kind of fandom. Sasha, I do think that Lawrence was a little bit hard on Ellie, but at the same time, I see her point. Ellie was playing the game and was trying to apologize for it. Yes, that's exactly what I am saying. That's exactly what I am saying. I mean, she was calling it for how it was. So why people are so mad about it? And most of all, she's also giving good TV. She's being real on TV. And in a season like season 13, where everyone is basically produced, it's so refreshing to see queens like Lawrence that, you know, are there and they're calling it how it is. And yet, this is the reaction from people. You know what the difference is? That on Drag Race UK, in a way, the queens are more assured that they will not dramatize the same way they get dramatized on season 13 on Drag Race UK. They don't have the same set of rules for filming and editing, especially for editing. So, you know, they are more likely to come forward. They are more likely to be genuine. And then once we finally get to see people being genuine on television, this is the reaction we give them for reasonable things. I don't know. You know, there is a reason if the fandom has been going on like this, and we cannot always pinpoint 100% of the blame on them. At some point, you have to accept that there is some sort of percentage that it's on the kind of message that this show are actually sending. I won't come and say, oh, a show has to educate. Oh, absolutely not. A show has to entertain, but at least can we take 10% to educate on what is going on with the fandom and the way they relate to the queens and the actual impact that has on these people who are there to build a career for themselves and to entertain us. Can we talk about it for 5 fucking minutes? Groover, did you know Ru asked who should go home and why in the UK? Queens on the recent episode, but they cut it out. No, I didn't know that. And I don't remember seeing that. So yes, I totally believe it. I don't think. Fuck. Well, you can expect drama if a question like that comes forward. But where did I hear that? Oh, yes, it was in the preview for the next episode of season 13. Yes, yes. Sorry, guys. Oh my God, I hit the microphone. I lost the chat a little bit. I phased out for a moment because, the things that have happened with Lawrence and Kyla would really, really fuck me up in a way because we are, I've been brutal with my opinions a lot, like a lot. It's something that happened like Kyla would happen to us, we would be completely fucked. Just for being brutally honest. And that's it. Groover, Ahura tweeted it and talked about it in an interview. Everyone said Ellie, and Ellie said Ahura. Shit. Oh, shit. I've been especially disconnected this week. I don't know if you guys noticed. Daisy, they also didn't air the Queen making up afterwards. I don't doubt that. That is something that we never see, especially in the U.S. version. Coffee, they should ask that question on the U.S. Drag Race. But disable the comments. Did you know, like months ago, on the RuPaul's Drag Race channel here on YouTube, in the community sections, they asked the viewers, what is your favorite quote from Mama Ru? And all the people commented things like, oh, my favorite quote is, nothing you say matters unless the cameras are rolling. Somebody else commented about the fracking. They completely destroyed them. It was the best thing ever. I lived for all of it. Let me see if I can find it. It's great. Where is it? Where is it? Please tell me the link is easy to find. Please tell me they didn't overpost. Oh, yes. They overpost in the community section. I will never find it. I will never find it. Gothboy UK, don't forget you're a homophobic racist if you call out the fracking. My God. Yeah, people are crazy. We've seen craziest thing. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I found it. I found it. What's your favorite quote from Mama Ru? Top comment, when she talked about her farm, which is actually a fracking site. And the comment after is, it wasn't me, it was my inner saboteur that did that. RuPaul on fracking. And then it's all of this comment. Somebody else commented, guess who's fracking the house? Drill's frick fracking about. RuPaul. When the world sends you packing, start fracking. Nothing you say matters unless those cameras are rolling. And somebody else commented, completely destroyed someone emotionally, but hold back for the cameras. Oh my god. Nothing you say matters unless the cameras are rolling. RuPaul isn't actually a nice person off camera. He is so fake. Oh my god. I, of course, would never attack them physically, but mentally, so that they could never recover. Fracking Queen. Oh, and also, sold subversive drag to 100 million people. I'm a motherfucking marketing genius. The comments on this are wild. If you ever feel down for some reason, I'm dropping a link. Go and read these comments. They are absolutely everything. They're absolutely everything. That you see that there are people who will call shit out for what it is. And RuPaul is an incredible businessman, but he is no example of humanity at all. At all. I will recognize his acumen, for sure. He knows how to make money. He knows how to market himself. He created such a big market with World of Wonder that hundreds of queens are profiting very well from it. He is an incredible businessman, but it looks like a kind of a shit of a person. That's the whole problem with it. Oh, good God. Gothboy, was Olivia projecting about Ru onto Utica? Possibly. Possibly. That's a strong possibility. Oh my god. I love that sometimes people come out and say, wait, but on the contract for the land, there is not RuPaul's name. And at that point I'm thinking, yes, but they have been together for like 30 years. You know, 30 years. It's like, yes, of course the name is not there, but let's not pretend like she has nothing to do with it when she comes on live shows and talks about what it means to manage a farm and so on and so forth. I mean, come on, let's be realistic. She must have something to do with it, and the problem is when you make so much money out of it, you need to get rid of this fracking thing as soon as possible. It's bad publicity. She should understand this. She should understand this. Blake Robinson, I think we need more Paul Abdul. We always need more Paul Abdul. There is never enough, especially during lip sync. Fantasia, give me your trauma. Oh, yes. We always have the moments 8, and now, queens, give me all your childhood trauma. Because we need to talk about it for views. I understand the point of, talk to the younger self. I think it's healthy. I think it's a great example. But it's done either way. I'm not judging the segment by itself. I am judging more the way it's being carried out, because it's being carried out in a way that really feels manipulative. Like you have these queens that from a moment to another, and now it's that moment in the season in which we talk to our younger selves. Now cry for me. That's how it comes across to me, because I think that having people relate to the difficulties that they had to face in their very young age, and in a time in the world in which being gay, being lesbian, being trans, being queer was not really accepted, and we were not really protected also from a law perspective. I think it's really an important message to send. See, it's cathartic in a way. But it's just the way it's carried on that always leaves a bad taste in my mouth, if you know what I mean. Blake Robinson, are there any songs you would like to be lip-synced? I used to play those songs in the streams. Then I realized that when I have to edit the live streams to remove the song because it's copyrighted, and the more copyright claims you get, the more likely it is that the channel gets thrown out of the partner programs, which means you're not monetized. So we need to remove that. The problem is when we remove that, we also lose, for some reason, we lose the live chat replay, which is basically half of the fun of rewatching the streams. It's reading the comments. So it wasn't worth it, and I stopped playing this kind of music. But yes, I have a ton. I should simply make a playlist, you know? Songs I would love to be lip sync to. Songs that really channel your inner faggot. Rason Haslam, I hope I'm not butchering your name too much, says, I look forward to your videos and live always. Sending live from JM. Also, I think Taze and Ahura only lip-synced for shock value. In a way, I have to agree with you. But it was good shock value. You know, they do shock value in Drag Race UK as well, but somehow it feels genuine. It feels way more genuine. It's still shock value. Nobody's arguing about that. But it feels cohesive. It feels natural. You know, it feels like they're really going with the flow. Where the shock value on season 13, where World of Wonder is basically producing 100% of it, feels very manipulated. Feels fake. Feels really fake. Sasha says, I'm on Discord. I just need to learn how to use it. But trust me, I will. Welcome. Welcome. Don't worry, it's easy. I don't know on the phone because I use it on my laptop. But we'll see. You know, it's not that difficult. It's not that. And if you need help, just ask. Dixie, I'd love to see that list. Yes, it's mostly, you know, old gay music from the 90s and the 80s. Maybe even something from the 70s, you know, like really gay songs. This is lip sync for me. That's how it went, how it was created, the idea in my mind, and that's where it will always stay. Fantasia, they should have saved Ahura and Taze. It would have been the only double Shantae I approved for in the past 3 seasons. Do I agree with that? Past 3 seasons. So season 13, 12, UK 2. Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that. What was in season 12? It was Jackie versus Heidi, if I'm remembering correctly. Let me check real quick, just to be sure. Yeah, it was Jackie versus Heidi. Yeah, it was definitely time for Heidi to go home at the time. Blake, Scarlett should have gone further on season 11. Bless you. Bless you. I couldn't agree more. Okay, you guys. Time for us to go to sleep. It's that time of night. So what are we going to do? Pop in the Discord, have some fun, join the club. We will see after Drag Race UK airs. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a live chatting. Why not? Why not? And I will work on the video from this live stream, which will be a complete total mess because I will have to go and get all of those confessionals from Elliot. Thank God I time-stamped all of them, so it's going to be fast. But I have to do a little bit of extra editing, so probably the episode will be out on Wednesday. The episode for this live stream. And we'll see if I have time to do some more editing for the channel with the other videos. We still have the 10 lip sync commandment, which has been there for 1 month because I didn't have really time to edit it. But, you know, maybe we'll rewatch it on the Discord. That is possible as well. So thank you so much for joining. And I will see you next Sunday or on the Discord this week. Okay? See you soon, guys. Have a nice week. Bye-bye.